I never thought that I'd be able to have him on our platform here because, when I first started wholesaling houses, Zach was one of the creators who I was binge watching. Zach is one of the creators that everybody binge watches. How many people in this chat here? We have 230 people live with us. TikTok's about to pop off. I'm hoping to get 500 people in here. But how many people in this chat, you look up how to wholesale real estate and Zach comes up? Okay, there's a lot of me's. There's a lot of me's in the chat. Guys, when you look up how to wholesale houses, there are two people that come up. First, Jerry Norton, second, Zach Ginn, and his father as well. So, he is somebody who's publicized this business model. I mean, wholesaling is not immensely known, but the reason so many people are getting into it is because of this man right here. Zach, how many deals do you think you've done? I wanna use that. We in the thousands, multi thousands. Oh, we're muted. I can't hear you.
Oh, I see it. There we go.
There we go.
2,700.
2,700 deals closed. So, guys, when I first started wholesaling houses, I'm binge watching his content. Every single day, I'm going on YouTube. I'm watching Jerry Norton. I'm watching Zach. I'm watching his dad. And you and your dad, I mean, in high school, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know too much about this story, but you guys, when you were a high school student, started wholesaling houses and started this YouTube channel together, which became wildly successful. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I was 17 years old, and basically my dad's he's always doing good wholesaling, but he was like a 500K a year wholesaler, but he's been doing it for like 21 years. But basically 17, had to work in a grocery store, and my dad had like a $25,000 assignment check on the desk, and I'm like, how do I do this? And he said, just go try to find a deal. I go on YouTube, and I couldn't really find anybody. There were certain people, but they all had their $14,000 programs. And I basically went to his bookshelf, saw a lease option book, read that, read a wholesaling book, and all these books from my dad's crazy. Like, he has books from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s about wholesaling. And I figured out bandit signs and made about $100,000 before I graduated high school, and all doing bandit signs. And then my biggest problem with that was I actually had code enforcement on my tail. They hired 7 people on a task force to stop me on bandit signs because I was making so much money in Florida. And I got a full ride scholarship to go to college. So I went there for 2 semesters, and I figured out I can't do bandit signs in Gainesville. And I'm like, crap, what do I do? And then I learned cold calling because my dad only did direct mail. And so I started cold calling my dorm room. Made about $250 a year doing that. After 2 semesters, I'm like, man, I gotta go back. And so I figured out, I don't know how young y'all are, ProctorU. I figured out that I could take all of my tests at UF on the laptop and nobody knows because every lecture is recorded. So I didn't have to be there and I could keep my full ride. I just had to keep a 3.5. And I came home, I did school at night, and I just wholesaled during the day. And basically, that's what I did. And then I started implementing newer strategies with my dad, and we just kind of built our own business, went 50-50 after that. And my biggest claim to fame, I don't think a lot of people know, is Rick made a lot of money wholesaling direct mail. And this is perfect timing. In 2018, this new method called texting was a thing for $400, lead Sherpa, $400, unlimited texts. And I just abused that thing. Like, I was sending millions of texts a month. And it was just disgusting, man. And then I used all that money back in the business, and the rest is history.
Wow, guys, that is a story if I've ever heard one. So Zach has been doing this for upwards of double. I mean, probably 2.5 times as long as I have. He's got way more deals under his belt. He also has a portfolio of his own. He has a community of his own. We're going to link all of his social media platforms. And then we're going to bring you guys up for questions. But we want to dive into the ways that Zach is doing deals. Because there's so many different strategies in wholesaling. We talk about cash deals in here. We talk about creative finance in here. There's lease options. He mentioned that briefly. And then there's also a million different ways for you to go after the deals. I mean, are we sending text messages? Are we calling agents? Are we sending mailers? We want to talk about all of the ways so that you guys can inform your decision. What is going to be my path? How am I going to generate leads? Is it going to be inbound leads? Am I going to get people to call me? Or am I more so going to other people and saying, hey, are you interested in selling your house? And I'm paving my own path, so to speak. So, Zach, now you mentioned that you had started out text blasting, or was it with mailers? Or bandit
No,
signs?
so
Bandit signs.
yeah, all bandit signs.
It was with bandit signs. So you'd get these bandit signs from the internet, branded bandit signs, or would you draw on them?
Oh yeah, Home Depot draw, and then I
Oh,
went to a sign company and just print them locally.
okay, so essentially you draw on them, you get a sign company to print hundreds of these, you stick them all over town, and people start picking up the phone and saying, hey, I want to sell you my house, and you're able to get that at 60, 70% of ARV and turn that into a wholesale deal.
Oh yeah, man, it was the cool part about it was kind of an up and coming market. Like I just got so lucky where I was. Like not a lot of people know where I'm at. It's called Port St. Lucie, Florida. I know it sounds crazy, and I kind of say this like everyone thinks of like what you're like in Portland, right? People think of like these whole areas of populations. Like I like think of Portland, right? Population's what like 700,000 roughly in that metro. How many of those are what I call wholesaleable homes? Barely any. Like anything below 450 that you can really wholesale, right? Like you can't like you can do Salem, like that's pretty much it in Oregon. There's some other areas, but like in Port St. Lucie, every house there is worth between 100 grand and 400, and it is just, and they're all concrete block homes. They're all built by the same builder, and there's 200,000 of them. So it is like it's just as big as any big market, and it's just dude, it's the money's crazy there, man. But no, I got really lucky. I started sticking bandit signs outside of my high school wrestling tournaments. And for some reason, every high school in Florida is right by a busy intersection. And I just got really lucky. And that thing blew up like crazy.
Interesting. So bandit signs were how you started. What are you
Yeah.
doing now? Or actually, I should say, how did your marketing methods change? Because I used to be doing direct to seller. I don't really do any direct to seller now unless it's off of social media. You started with bandit signs. What did it eventually turn into? Are you still on bandit signs?
No, like, man, I went to college and I figured out I couldn't wholesale where I was because I was 3.5 hours from home. And then I figured out this really sucks, but like that Gainesville wasn't a good market. And so I'm like, dang. And I look up strategy. I'm like, because Rick, my dad, not you, or are you Rich? I don't know what you go by. But basically, he only did direct mail. And so I'm like, what do I do? And I just got Mojo and just started cold calling the list, just regular lists from list source. That's how old I am now. List source, 3 cents a hit. And it was good, man.
So is that what you guys do now? Do you guys cold call now with a team of acquisitions managers to find your leads?
Okay, yeah. So we have 3 business, like now, 3 businesses pretty much. I have a local wholesaling business for Florida. I have a virtual wholesaling business in about 15 markets, and then I have a JV business, which is probably my biggest one right now. It's that part's just nuts. That's where a majority of my deals this year are, just from doing JVs. But that's pretty much the majority of it right now. So most is gonna be calling, texting, and direct mail. Top 3, bar none, for in Florida. Virtual is mostly going to be cold calling. Texting's, dude, the stir shaking's getting a little tougher for texting. I'm having a lot of success right now, though, because of how this whole political election cycle is. Everyone watching this probably gets 5 texts a day from right-wing and left-wing candidates, and they all have that press stop at the end. And so if you text it, they're used to it. They're used to the press stop at the end. So it like doesn't bother them as much. And so I'm finding this year the texting's kind of been a little better. We've been changing our opt-out with the new regulations to just like, would you want to stop? ? And it kind of passes Twilio now. But right now, calling majority of the deals we're doing, like virtually, and then JVs is just from the course.
Now, as I remember it, I was text blasting. We were doing about 5,000 texts per day, and I got hit with some major restrictions on my account. And essentially, what we learned is that there were some TCPA compliance laws that we were just having a real hard time actually crafting a message that made sense. Like, you're sending a message to the homeowner, and in order to be compliant in it, this was just an incoherent mess of a message. But you've essentially figured out how to continue to text blast legally, abiding by the TCPA compliance, but you're also now doing cold calling, perhaps pulling lists, and having acquisitions managers dial those lists, or are you dialing them yourself?
No, yeah, I got a whole team doing it, man. I'm too busy. But the way I do texting is a lot different than I think how anyone does it. I call it double whammy. So the way TCPA and all so TCPA is fine for wholesaling. A lot of people get hit with lawsuits and I go to court. I have about 6 or 7 case studies from big wholesalers being sued for TCPA. As long as you're not a real estate agent, you're fine. But with texting, what I do is basically every text platform. If you use Twilio, you got Verizon, T-Mobile, and what, AT&T, right? They look at an algorithm, and I call it the teenage girl algorithm. And the reason I call it that is, how does the algorithm know if a teenage girl is texting somebody? Because a lot, like, I look at the demographics, who sends the most texts per month? It's teenage girls. They send on average, I think, 30 a day times 30, almost 1,000 outbound texts every single month. And then I look like a grandma, she'll text like 30. And how do they know that I'm texting the seller or a business is? And the number one way they find out is, do you text back? So if a grandma texts somebody, usually grandson texts them back, and they know that's not spam. If I text 1,000 people, they text me all back, they know I'm not spam. I'm just a very active social guy. And so what I started doing was I started putting messages out there that got like 90, 95% response rates. And it was just texting, hey, Richard, I just drove by your house on 123 Main Street. Is everything okay? It went insane. 95% response rates, never got spam. And that's basically what I teach people to do today.
That's fascinating. Guys, I didn't know about this at all. This is new information to me. I haven't text blasted for a year and a half. I mean, we are solely going to agents, but there's a spend associated with it. I mean, there's spend in the actual list that you're pulling, there's spend in the service that you're using to actually blast. And then you're also paying for acquisitions managers, or perhaps they're on commission?
Yeah, so local acquisitions guys are at 20% commission, virtual 15, and then JV is going to be, I mean, they're not really, they're more dispo, so they're going to be like 10, 15%. So there's no cost for texting. So the reason I do what I do is to teach people how to text for free. Now you can pay for texting, but for most people, I'll tell them use Google Voice. And my method for Google Voice is, if any Joe Schmo out here does Google Voice, they get hit in 5 minutes. If you send 5 texts an hour for 10 hours, that's 50. Now, if you have 4 or 5 Google Voice numbers, which all you have to do is get like family members' phones and connect them, you can send like 300 texts an hour for 12 hours, and then you start doing serious volume. Google Voice doesn't have any opt-out language, so completely free.
Interesting. I had no idea, guys. This is a fascinating. This is a fascinating strategy. Garrett says, I need you to sign a contract. The agent and the seller are waiting at a desk together to sign it. Oh my goodness. Zach, can we take a 30-minute or 30-second intermission to sign a contract? Garrett, let me just bring you up guys, typically in these live streams, we bring people up, we sign deals, we make calls, we talk about creative finance, we talk about how to get properties under contract on Zillow. We have two very different strategies. We brought Zach on today because he's a legend in this space, and he's going to be telling us all about the ways that he's currently doing deals and what his come up has been. This is one of our top performers, Zach. This is Garrett here, and he's doing like 5 creative finance deals a week at this point. Is this your 5th one this week?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What kind of deal do we have?
It's a trust deal. It's a house in Missouri. Like 3.5% interest rate. PITI is $1,400. Should rent for $1,800. And for $11K down, it's listed for $155.
Whoa! Slow down. I'm pulling up the DocuSign right now. Is it okay if I share my screen on this? I think some people are curious what the contract looks like.
Yeah, for sure. I don't mind.
Okay. So hold up. You found it, and I'm so sorry, Zach. You're.
No, let me grab some water real quick.
You're for sticking through this, man. But guys, essentially, Garrett's on his 5th deal this week. It's kind of unfathomable that he's been able to pull this many properties. I mean, each one is going to sell for low end probably $7,000, high end probably $20,000. But what we're looking at right now on my screen is a purchase and sale agreement for a contract. Apparently, the seller's sitting at the table with the agent ready to get this signed, and we just have to sign for it. So what I see is $140,000 purchase price. We have $11,000 as a down payment. You said they have a 3.1% interest rate. Is that correct?
No, it's like a 3.6.
3.6% interest rate. And it's a really cheap property, so it's got huge cash flow in it, correct?
Not huge. It's like all in with everything is 1,400 or like 1,380, and it could rent for between 16 and 1,800. So it's not a monster, but it's a deal.
But if it's a $140,000 house with a 3% interest rate on it, I mean, your principal payment there is only about $400 or less than that, probably.
Oh no, it's more than that.
So
Even on PropStream, it says 700, but I think with taxes and everything else and insurance, it's like closer to 1,400.
what was their initial loan amount?
Their initial loan amount was 147.
I don't know. I don't know.
And they have a 400. They have 140K left.
That sounds a little weird. If we go to a mortgage calculator,
Maybe he wasn't correct on the interest rate, but I know the PITI total is around 1,380, and it rents between 16 to 1,800. So
if they had a $140,000 loan at 3%, that's only
140. No, it's 147, and it's like closer to 4%.
Oh, it's okay. It's closer to 4%. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. So that puts it at 702. Okay, I understand.
Okay,
Well,
okay, never mind. I was wrong. It's 4.5.
Okay, that sounds right. That sounds right.
He just
initially
texted me. Yeah, he just texted me. Yeah.
It was 3 point. So, guys, one of the ways that we do deals is we find people who are not going to make any money on the sale of their house, and then we offer them money when otherwise they weren't going to make any money. The challenge there is that the agent can be a real headache sometimes. But you're going to hear a completely different strategy today. Anyways, Garrett, that's signed. Did you say the seller's going to sign that today?
Like right now, he just called me, and then I hate to interrupt your sessions, but there's like I'm sitting here with the seller, send it back over, and I was like, all right, get it signed right now. It's like my fifth this week.
It's cool to see this in real time. I think this week you've hit the ground running and you've put in a lot more work than you have historically, and you've just seen how much it's paid off. You know, you're seeing that as you put a little bit more time into this, because guys, Garrett historically has only put in like, I don't know, like a couple hours a week. He's hitting it harder now. He's actually hitting the phones. And guys, this is the type of profit where you can make like $100,000 a month. Easy 100,000 a month. If you have 4 weeks that are like the week that Garrett has had right now, you will make $100,000 in a month. And it's kind of ridiculous because you're literally just calling people.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near my capacity. Like I feel like I could do a lot more.
Jeez. Well, hey, thanks for coming up, man. I'm happy we got that signed.
Sure.
Congratulations on number 5 this week.
Yeah, enjoy your chat. Nice to meet you, Zach. Richard's a great guy.
Nice
He's
to meet
the
you,
best in the
Garrett.
business. Pleasure.
I don't know. Zach's been he's been here a lot longer. We have very differing strategies. You guys already know what I do. We're not here to talk about what I do today. We're here to talk about what Zach does. I feel like we've skipped over so many like fundamental things. Can we backtrack a little bit? I kind of want to know about like early in this business. Like we're talking about what you're doing now, and I understand you started with Bandit. Can we talk about college for a second? You said you got a full ride. Where'd you go to school?
UF.
Is that University of Florida?
University of Florida. Oh yeah.
University.
Where else can be? University of Finland.
Where else can be? We have in Oregon. We have UO, and then we have OSU. So we have kind of similar names: Oregon State University, University of Oregon. But what did you go to college for? What'd you go to college for?
Finance. Didn't learn anything there.
Oh wow, yeah,
it's
no.
Terrible.
Yeah. So, did you manage to actually like stick through the entire process and graduate?
Well, yeah. Well, I tell people like don't do what I do. I have an eidetic memory, so I would spend an hour a day on school at most, and just read the textbook, take the test, and keep a 3.5. It was not fun, but just do it at night. Proctor you it, schedule it out, get it done.
I mean, 3.5 that's still pretty good. That's a mixture of A's and
Florida,
B's.
you can game the system going to school. That's why I like Florida a lot, because all the lottery money, they give it to the kids with the highest SAT scores. And so it's free college in Florida. It's pretty cool.
Interesting. I had no idea about that. So when you're taking these classes in school, I did the exact same thing. I started wholesaling houses, not when I was in high school, but when I was in college. it was really tempting for me to quit. It was like every single day. My parents are like, you got to stay in it. You got to stay in it. You got to stay in it. Did you have that mindset whatsoever? Like, I really want to stop, and maybe somebody, an external force is telling you, no, you gotta see this through.
Well, I wanted to stop, but I figured out like if I just did an hour a day, which is the only time I gave myself 2 hours a day to like chill out, 1 hour to work out and an hour for school. And I said, well, if I don't do this hour of school, I'd just be watching like anime or something. So I'm like, well, let me just do college. Why not? Like I only had like a year at. So I got my AA in high school. So I was like, well, I can just accelerate it, and then boom. It wasn't that hard, man. Dude, look at anyone's screen time. They spend like an hour a day on TikTok, Instagram. So I'm like, just an hour. It's not bad.
Now this may be counterproductive, guys, because we're not saying that you need to go to college to wholesale houses. When I was in college, I didn't learn anything about wholesaling. I didn't learn anything about real estate. Didn't learn anything about just nothing. It's all about resume building, various stuff like that. For you, slightly different. We both got degrees in business. But I was really happy that I finished it. I thought that the things that I learned about the world around me were just fascinating. Did you find that although it didn't further your business acumen and what you were doing in wholesaling, you just learned about a lot of other things that were perhaps valuable in other walks of life?
Yeah. So it's on your Discord, so I can say I don't say it on my YouTube much, but I actually made a stupid amount of money in college because all these like crypto guys were in all these fraternity like parties I went to. And I was so boring at fraternity parties. Like I would just talk to the smart kids because there's a lot I you could tell, and they all kept like, dude, just put some of the money you make into this. And I don't talk about too much, but like there's some couple pops, pump and dumps that like they were in. All I could say is there are a couple like I don't know if you're into crypto, but like these whale guys that they're like, this is the time it's going to go up, this is the time it's going to go down, and I'd help them out with a couple things. And dude, that I made more money in college than a lot of people know. I rolled some assignment fees into some certain things, but I would say I would not change it at all, man. Some of my best friends there, some really smart people I'm still connected with. And two of my professors, man, own real estate brokerages with like 2,000 agents in Jacksonville. Like he teaches sales. I forgot his name, Doctor something. He's like that. He teaches sales, and he has a doctorate in sales. And his net worth is like 50 million. And he teaches sales at University of Florida. So definitely learned some good stuff there. The world, though, I don't know. It's where I went to school is kind of it's like a little bubble, man. I learned more just traveling than anything else, really.
Interesting. Guys, my perspective on it, I don't know if it's super valuable, but if you can go to college and you have the means to go to college, do it, but don't do it for the career. Don't do it for the I'm gonna get a job with this. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna apply for a 9 to 5, because ultimately it's just not gonna work the way you thought it's gonna work, guys. I mean, the American dream kind of died in the 90s. I mean, you might have been able to get a job and actually afford a house in the 90s and build wealth, but that is not the case anymore. My degree is worth $55,000 a year, and I'm not building wealth. I'm not setting anything aside to invest. I'm working long hours every single day, but at the same time, I had an amazing experience in college. So I know a lot of you guys are in high school right now. I know a lot of you guys are in college right now. Continue that, but don't take AP Bio. Don't take chemistry classes. Go ahead and take the easiest major that you possibly can, and take the extracurriculars. Like, take your economics classes, take your history classes, take your art classes, and don't overload yourself in homework. Figure out a side hustle during that time. Life has not hit. Either your parents are paying for your life, or you have deferred student loans, and you can essentially live in this like unrealistic state where you have immense amount of time to explore other side hustles, and you have the safety net beneath you, which is largely your parents or the deferred student loans. So if you're in college right now, which I know probably a quarter of you guys are, stay there, but consider taking the easy major. Consider taking the business administration major like I did. You're going to get a little bit of shit from it, from the other students there, but they're going to be working, and then you're going to be on vacation after college, and you'll both have the exact same diploma. So stick around in college, guys. But I want to figure out what happened after college. You graduated college. You no longer have to spend this hour working on classes per day. What's your marketing strategy as soon as you graduate college, and what year is it? So what year are we talking, and what's your marketing strategy during that time?
So graduated December 2019. So 2020 kind of hit, and I just went crazy on virtual. Like I went so nuts cold calling. But at this point, I started my YouTube channel while I was in college, and the number one reason I did is I was like, hey, I just want to teach people what I'm doing. And there's really no young people teaching wholesaling when I started, and not anyone doing like any money. And so I'm like, hey, I'm 19. Here's a $50,000 check. Let me show you what I did. And that's literally how I started YouTube. And from there, I basically just put the camera in front of my dad, and I'm like, hey, you teach people how to do this. And then from there, it was really weird. Like I talked about Port St. Lucie, right when I was graduating college, it's like pre anything, right? They're like, hey, I just got locked up a deal in Jacksonville. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, all I know how to do is find buyers, like with no money at all. It's Facebook groups and cold calling for rents. And so I started learning how to JV with people. And then I started, this market works really well. And then I started virtually wholesaling. And I kind of created my own little theories of what makes a good market, virtually or non-virtually. And I started attacking markets that nobody on YouTube was talking about that had big populations. So I think famously, I on YouTube, I ranked markets and I called every big market. I said Fayetteville, Richmond, Virginia, Hampton Roads, Knoxville, Tennessee. And I just told people, I'm like, hey, find military bases and do the markets around there because they have 200,000. And you have landlords that just rent out to military people and they buy things like hotcakes. And the cool part about landlord buyers is they don't really care about ARV or, hey, what's cash flow? Oh, that changed the game for me. And then I just started doing that. And then the influencers came out and copied me. And then boom, the market got saturated there.
Guys, I think I've been called out. I definitely copied Zach. I saw what Zach was doing.
Bad. Anyone can copy me. Like I don't care. The saddest thing I think ever happened for me was I started doing Oklahoma City, and I didn't tell anyone about it. And this one girl started talking about it, and it got me so mad because right when some people were making videos saying Oklahoma was illegal to wholesale, I started doing that. I said, okay, let me wholesale there. Then all the virtual guys left, and I read the law. I'm like, oh, no public marketing. It didn't ban wholesaling, and I went crazy in there. And then the influencers came and saturated it. So that's been the next secret. When somebody makes a video calling wholesaling banned, I just, like South Carolina, I did 5 deals in South Carolina the month it was illegal with a lawyer. No problem. And so I'm waiting for somebody to make a video saying some market's illegal, and then I'm just going to go in there and do deals there. That's the secret for everybody in here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, you're doing some cold calling. You know, have you entirely stopped the bandit signs, or is that something that you still
stopped in high school?
Really? And is it not even a possible method anymore, or because there used to be so many people who talked?
Not my mark. Remember, there was a task force, so code enforcement hired 7 people to stop me. I was putting out hundreds of bandit signs every single week. I had kids. I hired them. They sent me pictures of the bandit signs. I paid them $2 a sign. It was really bad. Like it got really out of hand because I was making so much money doing it. Like 150 grand for an 18-year-old's disgusting. And so that's all I did. Like that was my life. And then like that, it got taken off. They hired 7 people, task force, and they never got caught. The reason I never got caught for anyone that has bandit signs is usually what they do is they call you pretending to be a seller, and then they get your name and then they fine you 4 or 5 grand. What I did was they said, who's your name? What's your company? I said, do you own this house? I'm like, well, yeah, I own the house. I'm like, give me the address. And they gave me the address. And I said, do you work for code enforcement? And I said, if you lie, that's perjury, right? Like you're lying. Like you can only do this in a law enforcement position of doing something criminal. So they can't lie because they're kind of civil agents. And they're like, well, what's your name? And they always asked, they knew who I was, but they had to catch me. And so the one time the head of code enforcement called me and he said, who are you? I know who you are. I'm like, I just answer the phones. And they're like, give me the boss. I'm like, I just answer the phones. I give it to the company that does the signs. And I pretended I was an answering service and they never caught me. And to this day, code enforcement still has never caught me on it.
So why can't you do this virtually? I mean, is it possible to put the bandit sign virtually in some of the other markets that you're working in?
I just don't think it's worth it anymore because you can hit, some markets are $10 a violation. And if you get caught from a bad VA giving the company info, like it's a $4,000 or $5,000 fine. And you're not going to beat that. Like it's technically illegal. That's the problem. It's against code to do that.
Interesting. I still see
It's called
them
bandit sign. You put it down, you're a bandit, right? Like you're technically breaking the law, but you're not. You know, it's a civil penalty. So
I never knew why it was called the bandit sign. It's not really a method that I ever attacked. We did do text blasting for some time, but honestly, I'm gonna be real. I failed at text blasting. It just and that is not because the method doesn't work. That's because I wasn't figuring it out. That's because we were outsourcing too quickly. We were hiring acquisitions managers.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't learning the craft myself, and I completely failed at text blasting. Sure, I did some deals here, but my spend on leads and text blasting, I wasn't doing your method. So guys, I think there's definitely something to look into here with his Google Voice method. I've never even heard about that before, but I got to learn about the current operation. I got to learn about the structure of it.
Yeah.
You mentioned you have a JV business, you have a local Florida business, and then you also have the virtual business. Let's start with the local one. What does the local business look like today?
So local business, hate to say, like it's just mostly direct mail. So me and Rick basically developed our own postcard, and I'm not selling it. I'm not even telling anyone to get it. It's just this is our you can copy it yourself. I don't really care. Direct mail is one of the most saturated things ever. Every home investors guy, they spend 50, 60 grand a month, like the big markets, just sending postcards out. And the problem I found was we started making less money every single month on postcards. We buy houses cash. Like it wasn't working anymore. So what I started to do was we put offers on postcards. And so it says, hey, we have an offer on your house. Flip it around, there's an offer. Your offer is 170 grand. The reason is we basically gave the Zillow value and we put like 10% below that. So everyone wants the Zillow value for their house, but do you want it below what a realtor would pay? So like at that point, you're willing to take less than what if you just listed it on the market right now. And then though that was good enough to get enough callbacks, but not be too high. And our response rate was like 1.5%, 2%, which if you ever do direct mail, that's like 15x what you're used to. And that just blew things up. And we still do it to this day. We have a little algorithm for it, and we just send offers. And we always say, oh yeah, we can give you 170 grand. We just got to we're giving you the best offer right now. Like we're assuming it's the best. There's no like issues. There's no AC problems, no flooring issues. They're like, well, I kind of have that. I'm like, okay, well, our offer is going to be a little different. Let's come out there and let's have a conversation. The problem is if your seller has 12 postcards, who are they calling first? The guy with the offer. He's the most serious. So we kind of steal a lot of the car guys. We basically steal most of their stuff and implement it for wholesaling.
Interesting. So, because what you said caught me off guard at first. I was like, wait. You're texting, you're mailing people, and you're offering them about 10% below Zillow value. But that's your initial outreach. That's the initial like, get me interested in this offer. You hop on the phone, and like, oh yeah, that offer's assuming that you're renovated, you've done the roof, you've done the HVAC. It's not destroyed inside, but we all know how that goes. I mean, you qualify that lead, and it's like, well, it needs a little bit, and I'm like, no, you have a lab in the basement that produces crystals, and this is not where our offer is going to be. So essentially, you use that initial offer, which would work if it were in that condition. Would work, maybe quotations would work, but you talk to them about it, you find out it needs some repair, and then that essentially gets you to the point where you can make a reasonable offer at, what do you do, 70% of ARV?
Don't get me started on this, man. I don't ever use the 70% ARV thing. I think it's the stupidest thing because my local market's 400,000 or 500,000 average house. So like, if you want to do the math, if I get a house for 70% of 500 grand, what is that? 350? Maybe I'm doing my math wrong. 350. So let's do the math here. If I get a house for 500 grand ARV, and let's say it needs 40 grand repairs, I get it for 70%. That's 350. I put in 30 grand repairs. Okay, 380. I list it for 500. I pay 10% for BS. Minus off my 380. I'd make 70 grand. I make 70, 80 grand. And if you bump ARV up, you make even more. And the average flipper is not making 80 grand. So I have my own formula. It's ARV minus repairs multiplied by a multiplier. The reason is I try to get the highest ARV possible. Sorry, highest MAO possible. And what I teach people to do is just offer 70% off the MAO as your initial offer. We call it LAO, not MAO, LAO. And my biggest thing is when people get their first deal, if you basically go on my YouTube, nobody on YouTube gets people, I mean, maybe you, but like their first deals are 50, 60, 70 grand. Because they do just teach people to just make low offers. And if you can offer it the right way, you're good to go. The way I kind of describe it is like, have you ever been to like an expensive like dinner? Like a $300, $400 dinner?
I've never had food before, no.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, dude, what's the difference between Nobu and like chili steak, man? It's the presentation, dude, right? That's it. Value is basically on presentation. People are willing to spend a stupid amount on something dumb because it's presented the right way. Same with food. And so if I present an offer the right way, even if it's lower than the other guy, they're going to take my offer. Same thing you probably deal with MLS offers all day. And so if you can present the low offer the right way, make a lot of money.
That's so interesting. Guys, we're literally talking about this 2 days ago. We're talking about how to convince an agent to accept seller finance. Nobody wants payments for their house, but you make them realize that they need payments for their house, and it's in the way that you say it, guys. It's in the way that you say it. I'm curious though. So what's your, because when I was doing seller outreach, they say, oh no, I'm going to need a lot higher than that. What's your approach? I mean, obviously you have acquisitions managers doing it now. You send them the letter. Do you walk them through what your deal would look like? That's what I used to do. I used to say, okay, perfect. No, I buy your house at this much, and then I noticed your neighbor's house sold for this much. I put this much into your house, and now I'm in it for 300 and I sell for 290. Is that sort of what you were thinking? And then they say, oh, and it kind of changes their expectations. But I'm thinking you have a different strategy. How do you talk to them in the right way that makes them okay with the offer below market value?
Yeah, so human beings make decisions on 3 levels. They do it on an emotional level, a logical level, or a fear level. That is the 3 ways people make decisions on doing something: buying, selling, marrying, whatever it is. Emotion, logic, and fear. That is the way it does. So 80% of people make decisions off of emotion when buying something, usually for wholesaling, 15% off of logic, and 5% off of fear. And so my acquisitions people go off of that basis. First, we go on the emotions. Hey, your house is ugly. You want to get rid of it? Well, just imagine getting out of this. We buy it cash. You don't have to deal with this stupid house anymore. Oh, wow. Emotions. This is our offer. We negotiate. Boom. Then you got the logical person. Then we get in the comps. And the fear is, hey, I got to buy 2 more houses this month, and I just bought one, and I'm going to buy another one. I have an appointment right after this. If you sign it now, I'll cancel my appointment. If not, this offer's done, and I'm not going to buy it. So those are the 3 ways I do it. So on the emotional aspect, I just go off of the pain point and then present the offer and sign it there. Then if you logic, then I'll do the logical thing. But before I meet them at the house, I condition them. That's what I call. So the worst thing possible, I know you deal with on market, is when a seller says like, maybe, I'll think about your offer. That's the worst one. And so what we do is we just condition the seller. We say, hey, Mr. Seller, are you ready to make a yes or no decision on selling it before I go meet you? So I don't give an offer unless someone's ready to make a decision right now.
Wow.
So we call it getting friend zoned from the seller. We'll think about your offer. You follow up. Oh yeah, I'll think about it. Maybe. And they just kind of lead you on. Like, hey, are you ready to make a decision? And the reason I do that is because when you meet with them and you give them an offer and they say, oh, I don't know, I'll think about it. Then I go off of like people. So most people in Florida that I deal with are older people from New York. And a lot of New Yorkers are like, oh, I'm on my word. And so I say, hey, I'm a man of my word. I said that I was going to make a decision and give you a legitimate offer. You were a man of your word and you said you were ready to make a decision. What's going on? You said you were ready to make a decision. Are you a man of your word? And people's egos flare up. No, I am a man of my word. Yes, I will make a decision. I guess I'll take it.
Wow.
And dude, you get so many maybes, man. You get sick of it.
Guys, there's an entirely different game that I'm just now realizing. on the other side of this acquisitions. I mean, when you sign a listing agreement with an agent, you're saying, I am ready to sell my house. There is no question as to whether or not you are considering offers right now. But with off market, it is a very, very different game. It's a very different game. And yes, this is recorded. You guys will be able to watch it at a later date. We're going to send it over to Zach's team and he'll edit it. We're going to send it over to my team. You guys will have 2 videos and the raw recording for you to rewatch at a later time. But this is absolutely fascinating to me, just hearing the psychology behind what drives a seller to make a decision and what words you're saying to essentially put them in a position to make a decision right then, right there. Now this started out with a question about the local business, and now it's kind of gone into the negotiation tactic for everybody who's reaching out to you. Is this the same strategy that you're using locally with and in your virtual business?
Yeah, I mean, virtual is a lot more high stakes. Like it's a lot more like virtual. It's like, hey, we got to get an agreement first, then we'll come buy the house, because the other way around never works. And the problem is I'm competing with local guys and other virtual guys, so it's way more saturated. In person, we get a phone call inbound. Hey, can I meet you in 3 o'clock? And I always make it seem like everything is a coincidence. Hey, I'm actually driving by a house on another street over. Is it okay if I swing by 4 o'clock? Boom. But in virtual, it's like, okay, this might be something we might want to do. First, we have to get in, then I get in the whole, like, I tell them how to do it. It's different than in person. Hey, we got to get an agreement first, and then we can go by and see the house. Unfortunately, just that's how the way we do it. We don't want to waste your time or my time, and then we get in the offer.
Interesting, interesting. And now I have to ask, because people always like to know the number side of things. How many deals a month does this generate for you?
Virtual or in person?
All of them excluding JV, because we haven't talked about the JV yet. Your direct to seller, your LLC, your S corp under contract with the actual seller. How many deals a month does that generate? If I can ask that.
Yeah. So in person and virtual, we try to do at least roughly a deal a day. That is my goal, a deal a day. And so that's probably 4 leads per each, so 8. Yeah. A deal a day is roughly what we like to do. That's our main goal.
So you
So
guys
a deal
are
a day
sitting,
virtual, a deal a day in person.
you guys are sitting somewhere. So are you saying that both businesses cumulatively will generate a deal a day, or each one individually is
Each
generating a
one.
deal a day? Upwards to
Each one.
60 deals per month.
Yes. Well, that's 720. Yeah, 720 a year.
Wow. And what is your average assignment fee on these? Because they're much higher, guys. Let
Yeah.
me just make it
In
clear. His
person,
are way, way higher than our assignment fees because he's going off market. There are much thinner margins on market. Sometimes they exist. I mean, you saw the 51K deal we did in September, but for the most part, our average assignment fee is anywhere from $7,000 to $15,000. It's just that with our strategies, you could just make a couple phone calls and get that under contract. It's not as elaborate. So I'm guessing that you're generating much, much, much larger checks, like the type of checks we see Jerry Norton getting.
yeah, love that guy.
You had a
In
few
person,
bringing them
we've
up.
collaborated. We've collaborated on a video before. But basically, in person, we're roughly looking around 30. If it's a probate, it's 50. 30 to 50 on a wholesale. We like wholetailing in person. I don't want to get in the whole wholesale rabbit hole right now. But that's just basically when we just buy the deal, put 2K, throw it on the market. It's just I call it a smart novation. People do novations dumb. That's a smart novation. And then virtually you're 15, 20K. Like it's not that crazy. But the lead cost is way lower for virtual.
Interesting. And all of these are off market, or do you ever find any that are on market?
So I can get in the whole on market thing. On market is its own little can of worms. But it's 99%, no, 98% off market. And I'll do some on market on the on the JV side. I'm not an on market guy, man. It's just not my thing. And I get very worried about on market because I see this industry growing, as you know. And as someone like you that teaches, you get 1 million views on a video, right? If I have 5,000 people wholesaling in Miami and they only do the on market, you're starting to see agents get really mad about No creative, right? Let's talk about wholesaling specifically. That gets hard, man. The on-market wholesaling game is not for the faint of heart. And when more wholesalers get in the game, it gets harder. When more wholesalers get in the off-market, anyone can profit off of it. So that's the way I kind of look at it.
Interesting.
That's just me.
Interesting. We do a combination of on market and off market. Guys, I'm always telling you to film. I'm always recommending that you film. It's completely changed my wholesale business. You see sellers on a regular basis every single week in my TikTok live stream, and they'll comment, "Hey, I want to sell my house." Those are some of the easiest leads to close ever. Those are some of the easiest inbound. I want to sell my house. 30 seconds after they send that, you're on the phone with them, you close them, you're able to get a deal $100,000 under market value, and you're getting yourself a $30, $40, $50,000 check, which seems to be commonplace for Zach here. Now, Zach, to what extent is your father part of this business, or have you guys sort of separated ways?
No, we run the business together. So
It-
I kind of have 3 hats of what I do. So I run basically the virtual and the in-person operations. Rick does more in-person because we deal with a lot of stupid stuff. And then Rick will pretty much handle the hard properties on the JV side. So any probate, any stupid, crazy creative finance deal, JV-wise that we buy. So I do the wholesales. Rick handles the ones that we kind of buy. And then we both do the education part, which is its own thing. And then I run the software company on top of that too, which is it's a lot, but that's where kind of my days split into 3.
We gotta get into the software company in a bit, but we have to ask about the JV business first. We got to know about that because, guys, that's my here. That's my business. We have 11,000 students. We have a software company that they use, and that gives them mass offers. They go out and you guys make offers on market, and effectively, I've got 11,000 acquisitions managers who I joint venture with through a common platform. Now, he also has a joint venture business. This is my number one source of deals. This seems to be your number one source of deals as well.
Yeah, volume wise, yes, and probably profit wise by next year, by far.
Wow.
It's not even a question.
When did that start? So you were doing it on your own for a while. Did that kind of start when social media started and people start reaching out to you saying, "Hey, how do I do deals?"
Oh yeah, dude. My favorite story is this kid out in Arizona said, "Hey, I got a deal in your local market." I'm like, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, but I want to make my money on it, but like you get whatever on the top of 250 grand. So you sell it for 280. I don't care. You make her 30 grand. I don't care." I said, "Okay." And so I sold the thing for like 280. I made 30 grand. I thought I'm killing this kid. This kid locked it up for 180. He made 70 grand. I'm like, virtually? So it was $100,000 assignment fee. I made 30. He made like 60 or 70. Now he made 70. And I'm like, this dude didn't even live here. And he got this, what? And I was like, whoa. And I started telling people on YouTube, like, hey, send me deals. And this is my local market. He just copied me. And I'm like, whoa, I think there's some money in this. And after that, I started learning how to like go anywhere and doing deals. And then I got really good at dispo, which dispositions is kind of easy. Like, I mean, it's if you got a good deal, you can sell a deal pretty much to anyone. And so the JV thing now is mostly anybody just following me on any social media. They know to JV with me, or they send me a deal, they'll email me a deal, and then I got people, Discord, whatever, just send me wholesaling deals. But I don't cherry pick. But if I'm not making 20, I'm not going to do the deal because I got to make it. That's 10 on my end. And then from there, we're trying to scale it up like crazy. My goal is to do at least 1,000 this year and hopefully double it next year because our dispo is getting a little better at it. And then by the time, this is my goal, probably yours too. This might be my ego, but I want to be the biggest wholesaler in wholesaling by the time I'm 40, so 15 years from now, by just deal volume. Right? Like that's kind of the big goal. So 10,000 deals, that's my vision. That's where I want to be at.
Who is the biggest wholesaler right now? The name that comes to mind for me, I think Brent Daniels, Jamil Damji, but I don't think that's the truth. Who do you think the biggest wholesaler is? I haven't looked into it extensively.
It's an SEO guy in Arizona. That's all I can. He doesn't want to be. SEO guy in Arizona. That's all I can say. You've never heard of him, and he'll never be on video.
Interesting.
If you search like "sell my house Arizona," it's going to be a guy that owns a company. You've never heard of him, but he's the number one SEO guy in Arizona. You know what I mean? Like the biggest wholesaler you don't know about. They're not on social media. So like, just think about it's guys that own SEO are usually the biggest guys right now. Like look up Sell My House, Dallas, Texas. There's going to be one guy who owns the SEO on that. He's not an influencer. And every single SEO search goes to that man. That's another secret too. Like if you want to watch somebody that like does a lot of deals, but they're hidden. What I do is because I'm a jerk. I look up their company and then I look at them actually like flipping houses and I figure out what areas work well. So if I'm going to go wholesale in what's good market, like Fresno, California, I find who's the number one SEO guy in Fresno. I find his company, I find the guy's name. And then he usually signs the deeds to the houses he buys or flips. And then from there, I'm like, okay, this is where in Fresno all the deals are happening. And then boom, I go in there and do well.
So guys, SEO, I see a lot of comments about SEO. SEO is ranking on Google and various other platforms. It's essentially, well, I may misspeak here, but it's like PPC. You know, you look something up on Google and it's, you know, you ever see the sponsored thing right there, guys? You ever see it sponsored? Well, yeah, people can pay, and if they have certain keywords and if they have a certain history, and there's so much goes into it. It's really a science, guys, but you can master it. It is a little bit saturated, but you can definitely master it. And essentially, if you put an ad on Google, and as Zach said, you know, if you search "sell my house quickly," somebody is going to click on that. They are immediately going to reach out to you. And the key is to get in contact with them as quickly as you possibly can. Zach, I would say that the biggest wholesalers in the United States that you know of, that I don't know of, must be making upwards of 5 million a month. Would you say I'm north or south of that number? You think it's more?
Yeah, but it's a 40% profit margin, which still is amazing. But I think about 5.
Because
think of how many leads Sell My House Arizona on the top gets, and they spend no money on ads. Like, what was that? Like 15, 20 leads a day. Like, you can look at Google keywords, and you can see how many searches are being done on there, and you can just do the math yourself on there. Like, how many guys are getting stupid leads, man? It's crazy.
Somebody says, "Did you say SEO or it's SEO? SEO, SEO."
Yeah, search engine optimization. I don't do SEO, by the way, but it's like working out, man. Right? Like there comes to a point where you get so big, it's like, well, you got to go to the dark side, and I'm not willing to go have a huge team, not willing to spend $100,000 a month on like just people, and then go crazier on there, right? And so those guys decide to go on the dark side, get the massive team, and just go all in. I never had that goal. Oh, I want to make $5 million a month. That's stupid, dude. It's crazy, man.
I've heard you mention working out a number of times now. Or do you have an athletic background in college, or do you lift? What's your, you know, how do you
work
burn
out, man? Oh yeah, dude. When you sit down all day and just look at numbers, and you sit down in an air conditioned room, no sun, like you go crazy, right? So you gotta go for like an hour, and that's what I do. I used to say like before. I used to talk with this guy Paul McComas, right? I used to always say that I was like, I have the best bench out of anyone on YouTube. And then Paul sent me a video. He was benching 370. And I'm like, crap. And then he passed away. And I think I was there. And then everyone just sends me stuff. But I've always made it a fun thing. Because Rick used to always bench more than me, and now we're kind of even now. But you got to work out an hour a day, or your energy just slumps, man.
Guys, this business is brutal. It's really, really brutal. Like I definitely want to touch on the mental challenges associated with wholesaling. I want to talk about what it feels like to do 50,000 in a month, you know, in your first couple of months, and then not have a deal for perhaps 6 months. You know, maybe the market changes. Maybe you're in 2021 and interest rates go from 2.5 to 8%, and your strategy stops working. I want to talk about the mental challenges behind that at some point here. Because guys, it is not for the faint of heart. Zach's camera has froze. Zach, are you still with us?
Yeah, you can't see me.
It froze. You may want to restart it.
Better.
Be good again. It's now doing the loading thing, but I'm sure it'll come back in just a second.
Oh Lord!
But honestly, people are saying sounds like it's me. Sounds like it's me, guys. Disregard. I mess things up for everybody. And now I'm looking at some dots moving on a screen, but I messed that up, huh? Anyways, guys, wholesaling is there are easy aspects of it, and then there were massive mental challenges associated with it. Zach, have there ever been times where you're just at a loss? Like, why can't I sell this deal? Why can't I get properties under contract? What's been the biggest mental hurdle that you've encountered in this business?
Well, my job is to kind of break that mental hurdle for most people because I think you have enough followers where you know this now. Dude, I'm getting guys like last week, I do my Discord calls. This one guy, I kid you not, if there's some people in my Discord that are in here so they can confirm this. There is a person in penitentiary, in prison, who in some prisons they give you access to a phone. They're doing 2 to 3 deals a month in prison. Like, really think about that for a second. He had his recording on. He's actually a guy in my Discord. He does deals in prison, cold calling Google Voice. And then I got another guy in Nigeria making 20 grand a month. Then I get a guy in South Africa making 30 grand a month. I got this other dude who's making 50 grand a month in Trinidad and Tobago. And then I started telling myself, like, maybe my problems aren't too bad. And yeah, there's mental challenges to it, but it's all about perspective. And if you ever go to a country where the average income is less than $10,000 a year, you start changing the way you think of things. Because human beings are really weird. You drive 70 miles an hour and then you go to 60, you feel like you're slow, but really you're going 70 miles an hour. And so I always tell everyone just improve every single day. But yeah, dude, there's a lot of mental issues, mental problems with me. I always tell people the Conor McGregor quote, but like I lost my mind my first 2 years wholesaling. Like that's all I did. And I did nothing else. And that was probably not good for me. But it springboarded me to where I'm at now, where it's not bad at all. So life's all about balance. But I decided that I wanted to guarantee my success. And so that's what you got to do.
You know, it was interesting. I recently experienced this. This must have happened years for you. In my first 2 years of wholesaling, I had this dopamine driven excitement for the business. Like I would hear a podcast, I'd hear something similar to what we're doing right now, and I would just get giddy. I'm just like, oh my God, this is just like the best thing ever. I don't really understand how all of it works. There's so many different moving pieces, so many different ways to do deals. And honestly, the complexity of it all, or what seemed to be complexity, it was just immensely exciting to try to learn everything. And as of recently, I'm still excited about it, but I find myself in social situations not really talking about it so much. I'm curious because everybody imagines like, oh, as soon as I have this level of income, I'm going to be set, man. I'm going to be there. As soon as I reach this point, I'll be good. I don't need to make any more. For me, the first thought I had around that was $50 a day. I told myself, as an 18-year-old, if I can just make $50 a day every single day, I'll be set. I'll barely have to work at that point. And then it became $100 a day, and then it became $500 a day, and then $1,000 a day, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. Do you ever find that you have to find pleasure in something else when you realize that the money isn't the end all be all?
Right, dude. Like I think I know you probably make more than probably. I know this is. I'm not trying to insult you. I bet you make more than 50 grand a month net after everything. I know you do, but I'm using that as a parameter. That is about, depending on your tax situation, 400 grand net. If you put half of that, $200,000 in a compound interest calculator, S&P 500 at 7%, and then you look at how much that's worth by the time you're 60, that's like what, 5-6 mil? That will give you, you don't have to work. Like if I just stopped working right now and I just go off all the rentals I own, like I'm done. Like the mental thing of like, how am I going to make it? It's not there anymore. And for most people, if you invest like half your money, like you're like, I don't have to do this anymore. Like if I decide my heart's not in it, I can just leave and I'm good to go. But I'm obsessed, man. Like it's weird. Like I love wholesaling. That's all I talk about. And the problem is most people, they get into wholesaling so they can make the money, but they don't really have a passion for real estate. And you get to the next point of like owning rentals and doing the other stuff in wholesaling, like you have to have a passion for real estate. And when you really want to build a business and you're not passionate about it, you quit. Dude, have you seen all these wholesalers get out of the business? Like they make money, but they have no passion for it. And then they do their stupid Amazon FBA store, scam people, and they're back in it, right? So, yeah.
I guess we go live 3 to 4 hours a day. I go live 3 to 4 hours a day on here, and I wouldn't be able to do that sustainably if I weren't obsessed with the business as well. But I guess what I'm referring to is everybody has this. Do you remember what it was like when you weren't making money and the way that you visualized you would feel when you were making money? Remember what that was like?
Yeah, I was a bag boy at 17 scrubbing toilets. I said, hey, I need to get a deal.
And you think about once you have it, you'll feel a certain way, and you do feel a certain way for a week, maybe 2 weeks, but then it subsides. Do you find that there's ever struggle in that? Like for me, what I've noticed is, and I think it's disgusting human tendency. You reach an absurd amount of income, like you don't need more money than this, but you're like, I need more, I need more, I need more, and then when you get it, you tell yourself in the beginning, oh, when I get there, I'm just going to be so happy. And then you get there and it's like, no, I need more. I need more. And it just keeps leveling up and leveling up and leveling up. Do you experience that? And if so, I mean, how do you manage those emotions? That's a question for me right now. That's something I'm struggling.
Why do I do what I do? Like, dude, I say this in the nicest way possible. If I quit everything, I can still clear 7 figures from just my investments, right? Like right now. Like just stopping everything, and probably for the rest of my life, it'll probably compound like 10% a year, right? If I just say, quit the game, S&P 500, stop it, right? The main reason why I do what I do now is just kind of more for impact. Like to this day, and this isn't a shot at you or shot to anyone, right? Because you have your YouTube channel, you're growing it, that's great. If I wanted to learn wholesaling real estate like completely for free, there's only like 3 or 4 people that'll teach you, and most of them I don't think are good. And this business taught you having no money to make money, right? This business taught me to have no money to make money. And the way I look at it is like, dude, I get these guys from Nigeria, Jamaica, like these really poor countries, and they're so smart, but they literally have, they're just in a bad situation, right? If you live in Kingston, Jamaica right now, like it's really hard to make $100,000. But that could feed your mom, your family, and like feed them and house them. $100,000 for like a family of like 12, right? Who's going to teach that kid how to make $100,000 in real estate? Like really, no mentorship, no paywall. Like, hey, this, and that. Like, and so I look at there's not a lot, and so I need to keep doing this for these type of people. And I'm at a point now where I just get DMs every single day, like of people like that, international. And like I say, like if you live in Wyoming, you can make $100,000 just being a banker, being a manager, right? I do it kind of for the people that don't have those, like in a really bad situation right now. And so I try to bring that American dream internationally. So that's kind of what pushes me right now.
Interesting. So we've been talking about some technical, some emotional stuff. We got to get back to some exciting things to boost the viewers on TikTok here. I'm suffering on TikTok. What's been your biggest deal? What's the biggest deal you've done?
So biggest deal is an assignment fee is $120,000. And that was oh my God, I'm old. 4 years ago. 4 years ago, $120,000 probate deal. Locked it up for $240, sold it for $360.
What's the story behind it? You remember the story?
Probate. So I'm in Florida, and probate is called Florida is called God's waiting room because of all the old people. And there's so many old people, and they all come from up north, and they just go in their little retirement community. And this biggest secret about Florida is there's no emotional attachment. That is the biggest thing about Florida that makes the most money. So old guy in New York retires, teacher, buys a $400,000 house in Florida. He unfortunately passes away. And I call up the heir who lives in New York City, and he's never been to the house. He hasn't seen his dad in like a year or two. And hey, can I just give you an offer? Like, you don't even have to drive down. I'll just give you, we can wire you basically from the title company, and we just take care of it. And like, oh, but a couple things there. I'm like, well, I can just ship it to you. Are you okay? Or I can give it to the neighbors. Where I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And these people don't want to go all the way down to Florida because then those people are young. They don't want to be in Florida. And so I do a lot of deals doing probates because there's so many old people and they all own the house. And the heirs don't really live locally, or some of them do, but there's no emotional attachment to that house. And the biggest problem with probate is if you're talking to somebody and they grew up in that house and it's their mom's house that died, they have an emotional attachment. They don't want to sell. They don't want to let go. And so probates in Florida right now are my biggest deals by far. And no software can pull that list. So that's why they work so well. Because the average Joe Schmo doesn't know how to pull them. And they can't deal with any of the title issues with them that I do. So, yeah.
Do you remember exactly what happened in your $120,000 deal? Do you remember how you found the seller? You know, what type of... It was a probate lead, but how did you find him?
So it was a probate letter. And we send letters out to probates. There's like 300, 400 probate letters we'll send out every single month. And so if somebody files a probate, boom, send them a letter saying, hey, sorry for your loss. In the event you're looking to sell, we like to buy it. We buy between, 20, 30 properties every single month. And that's kind of the letter. And so we showed that we have authority and we're sorry for your loss. But hey, if you are our secret line is in the event you're looking to sell. I'm not asking, hey, do you want to sell in the event? Because it's an emotional decision. We want to buy it for cash, easy, quick, boom. And that's what we do. And those things sell crazy because old people, the house is outdated, but they keep it really nice and clean. And so they're really easy to sell. And so that was a lady, her and her husband died, and she wanted to move into her daughter's house, other side of the state. And there was a little bit of issues on the property, need a new roof, all these things. And so what I do is I do something called go for no. And so I make all my acquisitions, do it, and everyone that learns from me, I say, hey, make an offer, but it has to be a no. Go for the no. If you don't get a no on your initial offer, you're offering too high. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do 240. And she said, yeah. I'm like, perfect. Sign it. Title. Cleared. Pretty easy. So, yeah, 120.
That's ridiculous. Guys.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy.
That's like upper middle class income, right? I don't know what you consider upper middle class income on a single deal. That's ridiculous. I think a lot of people are wondering how they can get involved with this method because it's very different. It's very different from what we do.
Oh,
We do something entirely separate here. We're not even doing real estate half the time. I sell trusts. I'd say about half the deals that we do aren't even real estate transactions processed by a title company because we do something so
trust, or was that like a subject to and a land trust?
What we can jump into it briefly. I find low equity sellers, and they've been pitched subject to on market before. And I say, I recognize the inherent issues with subject to. I'd never want to expose your client to that risk. And we say, instead of purchasing the property subject to, why don't you put the house into a trust and we'll buy the trust for more than you would ever make on your sale. And the amount that they would have made on their sale is negative $10,000, and the amount that we can offer them is $5,000, $10,000. The one that Garrett just came on was $11,000, and then we're able to wholesale that usually for anywhere between $10,000 and $50,000 high end. So it's based on the premise of, let me offer you more than you ever expected to make, and let me do it in a way that's not going to trigger the due on sale clause. And I say it's not a real estate deal because it's technically a personal property transfer. We never sell the house. We purchase 90% of the trust or wholesale 90% of the trust. And the seller is going to hold 10% of the trust, but have no monetary ties to it. It gets complicated.
Oh, are you doing an assignment of like beneficiary? What is it called? The assignment of beneficial rights or whatever on a land trust? That's how you do it.
With a revocable trust, we have a structure where the seller
land or revocable.
Revocable. With a revocable trust, the seller is going to hold 10% interest in the trust, but it's not going to have any decision-making abilities over the trust or the property. They're not going to receive profit on it. But we keep them on the trust because if the bank sees that title has been separated from the mortgage, it opens us up to the due on sale clause. Now, it's very unlikely the due on sale clause is going to happen, but realtors don't know that. So we explain this to realtors. We're like, look, first of all, your seller was never removed from the title of the property. They're still a part owner. They just don't have any liability within it. And then we can wholesale those positions as well. So sometimes I'll be able to buy one for $0 down, keep it myself, add it to my portfolio, and then other times we'll wholesale it off. But a large majority of the people in here are calling people on Zillow and saying, I would never want to expose you to the risk of subject to. I have something totally different. And then a lot of agents, not all agents, but a lot of agents are curious about how we do that. And we just say, well, generally speaking, I think it's a good idea to put your property in a trust anyways. What if I just purchase the trust off of you? The trust is going to own the property, the mortgage stays in your name, and we still have you on as a part owner of the property, but it's going to come off your debt to income ratio. It's going to look like you transferred your property to next of kin.
Yeah, but why do they own 10%? Because if they transfer it to a trust, technically, if they created the trust, right, you can just go, if a banker calls you, tries to call the note due, you just say, well, no, it's for asset protection. Then, you know this, you can't do a due on sale clause if it's in the trust, though. The only way they're going to find out is if the beneficiary on the insurance changes. That's usually what triggers them. I've had 2 due on sales, and I fight. I'm like, no, it's for asset protection. They're like, oh, okay. So do you?
The
So you
reason that
sell them now, you don't keep them.
Well, I keep them and I sell them. The reason that we keep them on as 10% interest is to bulletproof protect against the due on sale clause, because it will still happen if you're within a trust, and it could be an issue if you're building a portfolio on that. So I'm thinking long term. I'm thinking like, if I've wholesaled 1,000 of these deals and I own 1,000 of these deals, banks find out that they have their money lended out for too long. If their KPIs are like, wait a second, on average, people hold these houses for 7 to 10 years, and they've been holding them for 20 years. If they find out that people are holding these low interest rates, 2.5%, 2.6% rates for too long, I worry about mass due on sale clause. So the reason that we have them as a 10% owner of it is because title has never been separated from the mortgage. The person who is on the title of the property is also on the mortgage, but we can structure it in such a way that they have no interest in it whatsoever. They take no profit from it. And honestly, it really serves as an anchor point for agents. One of the biggest reasons that we do it is because it makes realtors comfortable on the phone, because realtors are always going to press really, really hard on the due on sale clause. I mean, if you call enough times, you'll find somebody who doesn't know about it, but it's a simple Google search. And you and I both know that it is unlikely and it is reversible, especially
Give them the Garn. Just tell them Garn, and they're like, oh, what's that? They Google it, they go, okay.
Yeah, the Garn St. Germain Act. But that's the reason that we do it. So we want to make sure that we're 100% above water. And then on top of that, it allows the seller to reclaim the property if we miss payments super easily. They don't have to foreclose on us, especially in a state like Florida where a deed of trust can't be used. So we do a lot of deals in Florida. And of course, they don't want to do a deed of trust to immediately grant somebody back the property if we have missed payments for a period of 2 months. However, if we structure it in such a way where they already own 10% of it within the operating agreement of the trust, full ownership of the trust can revert back to them separate of the law that prevents them from reclaiming their property without having to foreclose on it, as you know, in Florida.
Like that. What if I'm trying to remember Garn. It's something, isn't there something in there about like liens, like a second mortgage hold? I gotta read it again. So what people used to do is they used to like have them sign the deed, put it in a safe, and then the guy would get a judgment and then screw the whole deal up. So if that guy gets a judgment and he has 10%, would you fight that? Or like how would you fight that if the guy gets like the worst thing in Florida is a child support lien, because those things are bulletproof and they're like for $250,000.
Well, if you have, like, let's say you don't pay your property taxes on time for a subject to deal, or let's say you don't pay your LLC taxes. In theory, they can go after the property, but when it's within the trust, we've completely removed that possibility. So part of the trust is protection, but I'd say half of it is just the pitch. We don't need to do it that way.
Oh, it's about presenting, huh?
Yeah, I own subject to deals myself, and I've never run into an issue with the due on sale clause, and we know how to fight it if we do. It's because we go on market. I mean, sub 2 off market, they've never heard of it. We're not going to, but with the sub 2 community and Pace Morby, they have been hit with this heavy. So I'm pitching something that they've never heard of before, and it has a couple other small benefits to it. For example, fixed closing costs. I bought this $1 million house, and we had 4K. costs. We had a 2-week close, 4K in closing costs, and it's the same every single time. So half of it is about the pitch, and then half of it's about legal precedent. So, my mentor, John Chin, was pressed on this by a judge. He went to court on it. And he was able to obtain legal precedent when they said, well, wait a second, you violated the due on sale clause. No, I haven't. I never sold the property. I did a personal property transfer, and the seller is still on the title of the property. The seller still owns it. It's like they added a kid to the mortgage.
He's still on there. That's smart.
He's
See,
still
we do it just completely. Like we just assign the beneficiary, and then they fight us. I just say it's for asset protection, and then usually a banker they get a little worried, and then I'm like, okay, boom. They're scared of a countersuit. Honestly, only 2 times I've gotten hit on that, but I still did the paperwork right. But it's very interesting to have them still on it. I like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Is that John guy? Is he the one that came up that 10% thing?
John Chin. He learned it from a guy named John Sheldon, who taught it to John Chin, and it's a deal that title companies don't know how to close. So you have to have.
You
an
have
attorney.
the case law you can send me? I want to see that lawsuit.
I've been asking him about it. I need him to get it sent over to me. For some reason he's reluctant to do so, but it's what he's been telling me for the past year and a half or so. But he said he went to court over it and was able to come out on top. So I have to ask him for it. I've also been very, very curious about that. But yeah, part of it's about
the judge will say what percentage it should be. That's why I'm curious.
And I wonder why it's not 1%. It has to be 10%. But this is something I learned about a year and a half ago. And the main way that I've been using it is, I call an agent and, we want to pitch subject to, and they say, is this a subject to call? Just first thing that they say off the bat, if you call in a major U.S. city, oh, I'd never expose your client to the risk of subject to. That sounds like a terrible idea. And then their guard is completely reset.
Like
then we'll open it up into I think it's a good idea for your client to put the property into a trust regardless. If they ever plan to transfer that to next of kin, they're going to pay taxes from the beginning of time since you've owned this property. That's going to be their capital gains. But if it's within a trust, that's not going to be the case. So first of all, even if we don't do a deal, put your property into a trust. And they're like, oh, okay, oh, you're right, okay, yes, sure. But what if I bought that trust? What if you put it into a trust and I purchase the trust off of your client? Be the same thing as we always say, it's like the kid in high school. The kid in high school who has the really, really expensive property. You got the parent on the actual mortgage. They pay the mortgage, but the kid is on title. It's like transferring your house to next of kin. And we're able to explain it in such a way we're like, oh, I can actually see a real life situation where I would do this type of deal if I ever transferred my trust to next of kin later down the road.
Yeah, I like it, man. I'm curious about that 10%, but like, do that. I say the same thing. You talk to a guy on a pre-foreclosure. Are you a wholesaler? No, I buy properties. I rent properties out, and sometimes I'll wholesale it. And then you take their guard off doing that. So that's a great approach, man. I like it because I just do the trust thing, and honestly, I'll look into that. It's interesting.
Yeah. I'd love to connect you with my setup guy. I've got a guy who sets it up for us. These are the easiest closings. These are the easiest closings ever. So much easier than going through a title company. We're not even doing a real estate transaction anymore. It's a personal property transfer. But much of what we teach here is finding individuals who can't sell their houses for various reasons. I mean, for multifamily, I'll find a $300,000 multifamily property and I'll make them an offer at list. I'll say, oh, you're looking for $300,000? Oh, perfect. Let's do $300,000. And they say, great, send me the contract. And I say, just really quickly, what does this bring in per month? And they say, oh, $300,000 house, this rents out for $2,500. They've got older rent charge on it. And I was like, oh, okay. Now it looks like if I throw this into a mortgage calculator, my payment is $2,500 on this $300,000 at a 6% interest rate. Do you have a lender that could give me like a 2 or 3% rate? And they say no. And I'm like, oh, so what's the solution? I just offered you your asking price, but it looks like I'm just way negative on my cash flow. And they're thinking, oh shit, that's why people have been lowballing us. And I say, so essentially I'd have to lowball you to get this to cash flow. And I get them to say yes to that. I get them to say, you'd have to lowball me to get this to cash flow. And then from there, I'm going to say, well, what if I just offer you $50K over list on a set of payments? I'd hate to do that. I'd hate to do seller finance on your property, but what's the solution? Unless you got that lender that can give me a 2% rate. And they say, oh, And then the alternative scenario is we find somebody who's going to lose money on the sale of their house. We call this our Trojan horse pitch, our Trojan horse pitch. I go in with a cash offer every single time. I start in cash. You find the seller who has their house listed for 300, they owe 280,000, and I say, let's do 290. I see you've been on market for 90 days. I'll offer 10K below list. Dream offer. Here's my proof of funds. I'll make my terms amazing. 2-day inspection period, non-refundable EMD of $10,000. Like just the best terms that they could possibly have, title company of their choice. And they say, perfect, let's do it. And I say, now wait a second, isn't your client going to have to bring money to the closing table to buy this? Because if I scroll down on Zillow or to sell this, I scroll down on Zillow, I see they bought it for damn near this price. And they say, yeah, but that is a harsh reality that they're willing to accept. I was like, okay, cool. Let's present it anyways. If they're fine losing 10,000, let's do it. But I'll let you know, I could also just give you 20,000 to take over your mortgage, which is where they say, is this subject to? And I said, I'd never want to expose your client to the risk of subject to. And so we essentially put them in a position where they come to their own conclusion. I need this. I never tell somebody you need this. Yeah. I get them to think I need this because of the way that you've just phrased it, which I thought was very, very similar to the emotional approach that you have to sellers.
I like it, man. The other thing I like to do too, I don't know if you do this, is if you ever look at the days on market, usually like 90 days is the average listing agreement, somewhere 180. I just like to sniper it like day 86, 85. Dude, then you got the realtor stressing. Then they're freaking out. That and then the other thing I like doing is taking over dead people's mortgages. That one's fun.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that.
Like what? So one of the biggest risks for me taking over someone's house subject to, right, is if I do a traditional subject to is due on sale clause, which kind of sucks. But you can kind of keep in the guy's name if he's dead, right? He's not going to get a lien on his house. He's not going to get a lien. He's not going to do something stupid. You kind of keep it dead. You can record the mortgage with the heir, and basically they don't have to worry about probate and kind of they're dead. And so I don't know if I should say this, but how homestead law works is you don't have to transfer it and the taxes are stupid low. And so you kind of take advantage of that homestead situation where, okay, so how Florida works is you are capped at how much your property's assessed value is if you homestead it. So we have $600,000 houses that are appraised for $150,000 because an old guy bought in 1984, and it only go up 2%. And with inflation, especially in Florida, right, it's crazy. So you can keep it where it cash flows so stupid well, and you can just cash flow. And then if they want to sell, then you can do it. And then, unfortunately, then it gets assessed at the sale price. So you can even get bonus cash flow because if you do a subject to and it changes deeds, depends if it was a sale or not, the homestead's going to go up. And so you can kind of keep taxes really low, which just gives you an extra bonus if you're owning it yourself or you're selling it to somebody because it keeps the homestead exemption. That's Florida. Texas is like that on there too. But I usually keep those because the cash on cash is like 100%. It's just money, man. There's not a better investment than that, man. Like you give the guy $10,000 and then you just make $10,000 a year net and then it appreciates. It's insane.
Now, if it's all right, I was hoping to pivot real quick here. I don't know what your time. Actually, you have to leave at 5. But I was hoping to briefly pivot before we let you go on here, or perhaps bring a couple people up for questions. I wanted to see what a deal is to you. Although I know you don't like to go on market, I wanted to see if we could find a property and you say, this is where I need this house. Obviously, you have a different way of getting it under contract, but this is where I need this house. In terms of cash deal, I was hoping to go to your local market, find a property on Zillow, and then you say, this is where I need this house. This is how I know that I need this house here. Of course, you have do you say LAO instead of MAO?
LAO, least allowable offer.
LAO. I wanted to figure out how you get there because I'm going to be real, man. 80% of our deals are creative finance. 80% of them. Everything I own in my portfolio is creative finance, and I want to change that because I see people doing cash deals, and I do cash deals, sure. But, I do 5 to 10 cash deals per month. I want to do 50 cash deals per month. And I'm super, super curious what your process looks like apart from your acquisitions. Obviously, we want to know about the acquisitions, but we're going on market. So I was wondering if it was okay, if you found a property in your market and you said, well, hey, this is how I would underwrite it on Zillow.
Sure. Let me go grab an address real quick. On
You're gonna
market?
go grab it real quick?
On market?
Oh, I thought you said you're gonna get a dress real quick. I was just curious what color it
I'm
was.
gonna find a house and I'll call the guy up.
Yeah. Oh,
So
you're
it
gonna.
has to be on market?
I was, if you're gonna call, that's amazing. I was hoping you could just find us a deal because when you're making cash offers on market, you got to make 100 to get one. You got to make 100 offers to get one. There's not an immense amount of skill in making a cash offer or nuances. It's just bang your head against the wall and then eventually get one accepted. So people want you to call here, and
Does your
we
buy
can.
box cartel do that for cash? Because I know it does it for creative.
Yes, it does. It'll spit out
You
cash
should be able
offers
to
and
do like,
it'll
I
spit
feel
out
like if you
creative.
did like 200 of those, there's a guy in my market that does that. He does like 200 offers a week. Anything that's on the MLS, he offers 70% of the list price and just sends it out. But he doesn't call. That's his issue. If he called, he'd probably get more, but he just sends it cold on email and just gets one or two a month doing that. I don't, he's been doing it for like 15 years, but let's see a deal on this.
Interesting.
I have a lot on Zillow of me doing creative deals because it just doesn't work anywhere, like at all. I'm looking for like an average deal in Port St. Lucie. These are
You
all
want to share
newer.
your screen record? If you click this little screen share button, I don't know if you can pull up a browser right now, but I can also screen share and go to Zillow. You got the button next to the camera and the microphone here. I'd be so curious to see, this house is listed for 150,000 because, actually, I have to ask you some questions here. I don't see much viability in fix and flips over $400,000 ARV. I typically do my fix and flips. They have $300 to $400,000 after repair value max, and oftentimes $180,000, $200,000 after repair value. Are you doing deals largely between 100 and 400,000?
That's like most of them.
Yeah, yeah, guys, it becomes really, really difficult for a property to sell in this interest rate environment right now. You know, if you're looking at a $700,000 house, you have to have that so deep. And on top of that, the flipper's thinking, I don't even know if this house is going to sell because the income that this person needs to qualify for it hardly exists in this market. I mean, you're looking at a 6% rate, maybe a 5.5% rate on a $700,000 house on an FHA loan. You've got to be making hundreds of thousands of dollars per year to qualify for that. So the vast majority of our deals are usually between $100,000 and $200,000. Usually we contract it for something like 90, and maybe we'll sell that thing for something like 110,000.
All right. Do you see it?
Let me go ahead and click on it right now. You guys see his
Okay.
screen share? Here
So
we go.
if I'm going to do something out here, it's going to be east because these are all houses built in the 70s. FYI, this is all like, can I show you like a satellite view? Like this is not a lot of people, like these are all houses. Like there's no club. There's no, like there's a grocery store, but like it's not like what you think. Like there's a couple coffee shops here. It's all houses. It's crazy. Like if you zoom in, like these are all houses and they're all wholesalable. It's insane.
When you see
It's
a
also
house,
sprawl.
you see a house like this 360, this 355. When I see those, and I know that they're in residential condition, a family lives in them, I'm only thinking creative finance for them. Now, I'm not thinking fix and flip, but perhaps that's wrong. I'm looking at really ugly houses for fix and flip deals. Are you doing things that are in moderately okay condition for fix and flip, or are they always pretty ugly?
Dude, if I'm fix and flip, I'm okay with it just looking okay. Because I don't fix and flip. I wholesale. So like this house right here, this one's easy. So I've been going here, right? Power wash. Oh, the flooring's all nice on this. Never mind, screw that. Kitchen. I wouldn't even change the kitchen here. I would lock this thing up probably for 360.
Now you're talking about you doing your own. So guys, it's very important to differentiate between wholesale and wholesale. A wholesale deal is when you get a property below market value that hasn't been marketed as well as it could have been, you remarket that on the MLS with better photos, perhaps you paint it a little bit, but you buy the property. You buy the property and then you relist it on the market with better marketing, maybe a little bit of touch up here and there, and you're able to make yourself a nice check without actually having to renovate it. But I'm curious, wholesale, how are you I mean, you're not exactly finding a deal on Zillow. Of course, you have a different method there.
Yeah.
But I'd be super curious to find a house that you would wholesale, whether you
this
wholesale
one.
it to somebody who will
Yeah,
wholesale it, sell it to
I'd
somebody
lock
who
this thing up for 300 and sell it for 320, 325 maybe. Because
really.
this thing's at
And
360 ain't gonna sell. That thing ain't gonna sell 360.
because
Yeah,
if I'm
in and
be
out,
honest,
simple.
somebody bought me this deal and said, "Hey, man, I've got it at $300,000." I'd look at the after repair value and I'd see that it's probably, I don't know, 370, maybe 380 max, maybe $400,000 built in like 2001, and I'm like, that's a hard sell for me. That's hard for me to get a buyer to bite on that, even on investor lift. So I'm super curious. I need to stop speaking. Where are you finding, like, not where are you finding your cash deals? What leads you to price your cash deals where you price them?
So this deal is easy because I know I have a comp. This is the property. I'm assuming got sold, right? Okay, it didn't say sold. If this thing sold for 360, I know properties have probably appreciated 50% from 5 years ago. 10%, that's kind of just even a gimme in Stuart, Florida. And so that 50%, 1.5 of 260 is going to be like 380. And I'm assuming it was like all nice and perfect. Now it needs a little work. Probably ARV's 380 on this. And so if I lock it up for 300, a guy can make, I don't know, 30, 40 grand on a flip. And I can just sell it for 320, 330. I can make money there. No problem. This I would love to wholesale because I would just buy this sucker and at 300, all in all 315, 320, and then it would sell for like 350 maybe. I mean, this is like a 20 grand wholesale. This is the way I look at it. But it's all about the seller, man.
I have a proposition for you. If that's a deal, you know, if it's listed for 360 and you get it for 300, that is honestly pretty light work. You know, we typically think that we have to get something way, 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 way deeper than that. But if you have
Yeah.
buyers for that and you can sell that, I think I have one of the largest acquisitions forces in existence right now with 11,000 people making offers. What we do is we open up a buy box and we say, you know, this is Zach's buy box for JV with Zach. And we say, everybody attack this. Everybody attack this set of criteria. And
Yeah.
now you have 11,000 people making offers here. That generates, dude, we get upwards of 20 contracts a day. That generates an absurd amount of contracts per day. But I don't have, you know, I'm an acquisitions wholesaler. My dispositions is still building. It can be better. My business partner, Chris, who I told you about, does this. What I'm thinking is, why don't we go ahead and find these deals for you and funnel them your way? Sounds like you're a bit more of a dispositions wholesaler.
I mean, marketing's 80% of the deal, right? And then you get it, lock it up for a good price and dispo it. Dispo is really not my problem. I mean, hedge funds are kind of the biggest pain in my butt right now because they're very like, oh, I'm only going to buy in these certain parameters. There's probably 40 markets, maybe 50 that hedge funds want to buy now. Most of my dispo right now is going to be to a landlord or just a guy that's in like another state who wants to buy real estate in like a good rental state. So, I mean, dispo's easy, man. Yeah, I'd like to see your little the buy box cartel, see what we can do. Well, I'm curious because I've never seen it in action in my market. So,
you wanna see what it is? I'll give you a little rundown on it.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah,
because I'll tell you this: if you're smart, you never, if somebody has an opportunity, right? And here's the thing: it's not like you're trying to pitch me on this $40,000 software. Like what is it, $20 a month? Like I'm always open to trying and looking at it because even if it's got a 10% success rate, if I look at 10, I get one home run I can add to my business and make it more money. So never, when somebody offers you something, as long as it's not like a $14,000 pitch, like you should always say yes to trying it. Because I said yes on SMS and that blew me up. I said yes on probates, blew me up. I tried novations that did not go well. I've tried a lot of stuff that failed, but always got to try something new, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is always, our end goal here is to make this free for buyers. So, and that's what we do right now. So, it's another disposition software like Investor Lift. So on the front end, I mean, you have users who can use it and pay to use Buy Box Cartel, but on the back end, it's free for buyers. So this, there's no cost associated with it whatsoever. But I'll share my screen and I'll give you a little bit of a demo of what it does.
Does this compete with Bobby?
Does this compete with Bobby?
Yeah, we love Bobby. Such a great guy.
Bobby? Who's Bobby?
In the chat. We love Bobby.
I'm lost.
He probably doesn't like you, man.
I'm so lost.
I've had my run-ins. Go in the chat.
Go in the chat.
Well, once you start making disposition software, Bobby will talk to you, and then lawyers get involved, and then it gets all funny. Yeah.
I guess
I can call you that later. I just don't want an angry lawyer to go talk to you.
I think
not for me, by the way.
I think we've created something unique here. I try not to rip off of anybody else's software, but I'll give you an example, man. So let's go ahead and find a deal really quickly. I think that's going to be the best way to do this. So let's go to Zillow, if I can spell correctly, Zillow.com, and let's look at one of the buy boxes. So if you click on buy boxes,
nice to see this, not in a 60-second TikTok.
Oh yeah. We
I love the comments on TikTok. Oh, you didn't explain it, man.
We got to go clip to clip, and if we don't go clip to clip really quickly, Gen Z's bird brain mind just completely tunes out. So let's look in. We'll go ahead and do a Section 8 one because this is the majority of our cash deals. We sell to landlords, Section 8 landlords. You heard of Section 8 Kareem? He's
Section 8 what?
Kareem, Karim. He's a kid. He's got $150 Section 8, and he's got his own community. Wow. Very much like Tom Cruise. He's like mini Tom Cruise. Well, he. Oh no. This guy. You ever seen this guy before?
No.
Check this out. This guy. No?
Yes, I've gotten ads. From that guy. His name's Tom Cruise?
Yeah, he's Tom Cruise.
Why don't you go by Thomas Cruise? Oh, man.
Dude, he has, I think, 900 doors Section 8, and he has this Section 8 community of people who buy Section 8 properties. So my team reached out to some other smaller guys. We also reached out to Tom, but he was like, I like that idea. I'm going to do it myself. But we reached out to some smaller guys. We said, hey, I got 11,000 deal finders who can target any sort of deal that you're looking for at any time. And what it turned out to be was Section 8 houses at a discount. $90,000 houses, you get them under contract for $65,000, and we can sell them. So essentially, you click on one of the buy boxes. This is as a student this is how a student would use this software. And there's a number of different ways. It also has a creative finance aspect as well. But essentially, you look at the criteria. You can see in Cleveland here, but I'll actually use one of our better performing markets. Memphis is one of our better performing markets right now. If we look at the buy box, you can see that they're looking for 3-bed, 1-bath, built after 1910. That's pretty easy. You get a Memphis, Tennessee, and then you just put in the Zillow filters. You're going to go ahead and reset all your filters, click for sale, and then let's just do single family houses. And let's enter in the buy boxes. They're looking for 3 1s minimum, and they want those to be built after 1910. So we put these filters in here, and then we generally put in a price filter because there's a huge price is a big aspect here. Their max price is $95,000 because interest rates will inhibit cash flow. So if we go ahead and put in a max price of, I would say 110, because you could reasonably get it to 95,000 with the right offer. You already found one right here, but I like to go as low as I possibly can. So I'll price it high to low really quickly here. We'll scroll down, see if we can find one that's real low price, but still in turnkey-ish condition. I say ish because it can have a little bit of renovation there. This one's 95. I think it gets a little lower. This one's 89, but is it in good shape? Tenant occupied because no photos. So I typically avoid the tenant occupied ones. I really want to see photos. Also tenant occupied. Who's got photos here? You got photos of your house, bro? Nope, you don't have photos of your house. Who's got photos of their house? You've got photos of your house. Okay, 95,000, built in 1950. Roof looks older, but for the most part, pretty turnkey. Okay, So if we put this thing into buy box cartel, I would say in detached single family. That may give it an issue, but we'll find out. Maybe, maybe not. If we put this into buy box cartel, it can give us two potential offers here. It can give us a creative finance offer and it can give us a cash offer. I'll show you the cash offer first. So if I click on this and I scroll down, I'm going to go ahead and put in my after repair value. Let's just run a hypothetical. Let's say after repair value on this one is, I don't know, 110. It's hypothetical. I don't really know. This specific buy box mandates a maximum renovation cost of $4,000. This is what this community of Section 8 investors is looking for. I make sure that everything is filled out properly here. We have a license to Zillow's backend APIs. And so this one does have a public water source. Its sewer is almost definitely public sewer. It doesn't have a garage. And then it got all the other info except for the square footage. So it didn't get the square footage because they didn't put it on there. So I might go to PropStream really quickly because it won't actually give you a result unless you have the information logged in or entered in there. PropStream will give me the square footage. I click find matches. It's going to tell you how many of our back-end buyers are interested in the deal at that price point. But I'll go ahead and show you it in action as soon as we get that square footage. Here is the address. Okay,
the only thing of you doing this off market instead. That sounds a lot better.
There's a lot.
That's just me.
There's a lot that can be done with this. So 1490 square feet, and we'd be definitely interested in collaborating. But if I click find matches on this one, you see it says 44 out of 46 of our buyers are interested in this particular property, given the info that you've put in. It's listed for 93. This is their price, not your lockup price, their price. Anything below that becomes your profit. Okay. And the way that we've designed it is, I bet they're going to say no to your offer. You got to make 50 of those to get a yes. Okay. Well, let's click this button. They say no. Is there a mortgage? Well, PropStream lets us know there's no mortgage right here. No mortgage. What does it rent out for? This thing, Section 8, they're paying about $1,550 for a 3-bed in Memphis right now. Well, look at that. It just gave me an offer over their asking price, but on a set of payments. And then it's also going to spit out an email right here. And I can copy and paste the email, and then I can send it to George Pereira, or however you say his name. It's also going to show me the benefits of the deal. You know, a large portion of this deal's benefits are in the 0% interest. And then if I get my offer accepted, I click generate creative contract, and that's going to generate the contract for me. That contract is going to go under our company name, and then my team is going to begin to. Well, actually,
could I write a balloon on this offer?
Yes, you can. So in the contract section, you can throw in a balloon here, but it doesn't start with a balloon. So I don't want to say, oh, it was 72 months, but absolutely, we teach them to negotiate with the balloon payment. But sometimes you get that situation where they just don't even know. And they just say yes because they're tired of the low balls. We make them the cash offer. We make them the seller finance offer. The cash offer is not crazy. I mean, 25 below your asking price. It's not the craziest thing in the world. And if they say yes to that, you know, you're getting $10,000 on the cash offer, usually around $12,000 to $15,000 on your creative finance offer, and then that's all funneled towards our dispositions team. We use Investor Lift to pump those out to buyers, and this generates around 40 deals per month. And I'm unhappy about that. I'm unhappy about that number, Zach. I need that number to go up. But that's a basic demo of Buy Box Cartel. It'll give you a cash offer and a creative finance offer. And then the only other scenario that I haven't shown you here is if you choose a different outcome. Let's say this guy does have a mortgage. Is there a mortgage? Yes. Now it has an entirely different set of questions. What do they owe? Well, right here, PropStream, hypothetically, if they did have a mortgage, would tell me what they do owe. I would go ahead and answer these questions. Let's say that this guy's low equity. He has a mortgage of $85,000 on his house. Let's say it rents out for $1,500. Their initial loan amount on this is perhaps $90,000. And then their interest rate, maybe it's 4.1%. All of that comes from PropStream. Well, it's spitting out a different type of offer, and their PITI instead of the monthly payment you're giving them, the down payment based on the cash flow here, and then also an email template that's different. It's for a low equity situation. So essentially, you know, this states like, look, you're going to lose money on the sale. What if we just take over your position in your loan? So the three offers that we're targeting are seller finance, mortgage takeover deals. I don't call them subject to or trust deals. I just, at this point, mortgage takeover deals, and then cash. And cash is really where we feel we could collaborate with you. Because what you just showed me, Zach, where you just showed me a $300,000 house, and you're like, oh yeah, you know, you get this thing for or $360,000 house, you get this thing for $300,000. You've got yourself a 10K, 20K fee right there. To me, I'm like, that's too easy. We could get that under contract 50 times per day. Like if I put all of our students on that, that's easy. I mean, I'll tell you about a deal. We had a student get a deal listed for 200. They accepted 37K on it. They accepted 37K for a $200,000 house, and we get ourselves a $51,000 assignment. Kid's 20 years old, month one, super happy.
There we go.
But if these kids could offer 60 or 50,000, 60,000 below list on $300,000 houses that can't sell because of the income in the area not being high enough to qualify for a loan at that interest rate, I mean, you're getting passive acquisitions for this. There's no fee for you. The students are getting really easy deals, and then now I have a solution to my problem where I want to even out the cash deals with creative. I'd like to do 50% creative, 50% cash, so you can choose your own adventure and hold my hand wholesale.
I like that, man. It reminds me a lot of, I'm not saying you're copying them, but like this used to be my favorite thing in the world during COVID was SFR3. Dude, their little portal, you just put the address in, they give you an offer. That's what it reminds me. I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's what, like, that as a wholesaler was like so brain dead, man. Put the address, okay, come back, and that's how but this is creative. That's pretty cool, man. I mean, I think the hardest part is finding buyers for it at like that scale, but it's pretty cool, man. So when you do the creative, do you call after you send the email?
I tell these guys straight up, you will fail. Quit. Leave this community if you won't call. I'm gonna be transparent, guys. You will fail if you don't call. You will fail if you don't call. Sure, we have the story of Zach's guy who sends 500 offers a day, gets 2 per month. Okay, fine. But in this day and age, realtors are so wary of scams. There's so much bullshit going on, so many wholesalers. People do business with those they like and trust. I mean, Jerry Norton one-on-one. You know, you got to get the realtor to like you. You got to get the realtor to trust you if you're going to get
Jerry.
Yeah. So you know, we highly recommend that everybody calls, but you know, I'm excited about talking about this because even Zach, even if you were a little bit optimistic there, even if that 360 house has to be gotten at 280, no problem. Even if it's 270, no problem. The amount of offers that we are making has an ability to impact markets. Here's what I mean by that. If you have a market of 200,000 people, and keep in mind, my students are international. You got guys from Africa, Australia, England, the United States. If you have hundreds of thousands of people who are making offers in a market of 200,000 people, seemingly different places, different LLCs, the realtor's like, oh, you know, it goes to the client. I've got an offer below and below and below and below. And now they think that market value is actually somewhere entirely different because you've just received 50 offers from 50 different people who seem to be completely separate of each other. And you do a price drop and one of my students gets the deal done. So we have the ability to impact markets no matter how far we are below list price. We can do that in any given market. This is nationwide. It's free to you. My $1 million problem that I've been trying to solve is how the fuck do I do cash deals at the scale of other people? That's why I'm so heavy on creative, man. It's not because I hate cash deals. Guys, I'll be honest. I'm not that good at cash deals. I'm not. I'm good at creative finance. I'm good at selling creative finance. I'm good at acquiring rental properties. I'm not that good at cash. That's my $1 million problem. Solve it. I'll make you a lot of money.
I like it, man. Like everyone's better at certain things. Like you're really good at talking to a seller, I've seen. And so, or like just talking to a person, which better for the agent side. I like this, man. I think that's pretty cool though. Like, I mean, it's basically the premise of getting a contract and finding the buyer. And so if you can solve any of that issue, you're good to go, man. I mean, dude, I tell people off market, just call the FSBOs. Like I used to go live before YouTube went crazy on me, and I just offered 70% off of every Zillow, and I would just get at least 1 to 2 people saying, "Oh yeah, of course I'll take it," because they were over 100 days, and no one contacted them anymore. So I like that, man. You have 46 Section 8 buyers for Alabama. That was right.
So our back end team.
There's way more than that. You got some more, or Chris, you got a lot more work to do there. There's probably 200.
So many, and it feeds out of the community. So the way that we tap into buyers is that we'll find a community of an influencer who teaches Section 8. He doesn't know how to acquire Section 8 very well. He's got a buyer's agent acquiring Section 8 deals for him, which is trash. Yeah. And we say, dude, let's cut out the buyer's agent. I'll deliver you deals at a way deeper discount. Your entire community can eat. And what's more, I'll give you a cut of every wholesale deal. And they're like, oh shit, that's fire. And it's fully passive for them as well. So I essentially find people like Tom Cruise, not the weird running actor dude. I find people like Tom Cruise, the real estate investor, and I say, let me be your acquisitions machine for you. Let me sick our team on your criteria and feed your students, and I'll give you a cut of every single deal. And they're more than happy to do that. So there are so many more buyers there, but the reason it's like 46 is because there are 46 Section 8 buyers in this particular market for this community that we've tapped into.
I like it. And so again, what's the success rate for you, and what's the success rate for like the average person in here if they start just calling, emailing?
When we say success rate, it differs deal to deal. So are you saying success rate for a cash deal? And if it's cash, is it fix and flip or is it Section 8?
So I look at wholesaling. So if I go to Buy Box Cartel and then I send an email and I call the agent, what's the percent? I'm just a numbers guy. I don't care if it's 1,000, right? Because that's how I look at marketing. How many of those do you have to send out so an agent says yes, usually?
If you're just sending emails, it could be hundreds and hundreds. You're calling. I've gotten to the point where personally I can make about 5 calls. I won't make any cash offers during that time, except for my decoy cash offers. If I make 5 calls, one of them is going under contract with Creative Finance, because I'll find somebody
20%.
where I can offer. That's what we demonstrated in the live stream. Chat, how many people have seen me do a 1-call closing here?
That's really good.
Be at least half, but that's not the reality. That is not the reality for 90% of the people in here. 90% of the people in here aren't in here actually. So I'm very open about this. You will fail and hold my hand wholesale. You don't expect to make money here. You will. And Richard, how can you say that? Dog, I got 11,000 people and 300 of you are here with a legend in the community. You got a legend in the wholesaling space and 300 people showed up. If you join Hold My Hand Wholesale, there is a 90% chance that you'll fail. And 99% of the community is not here right now. 99% decided that there was something more valuable to spend their time on than hear you and I converse about this topic. Now, when I was starting, I was just absolutely glued to this. But what do I compare that to? Fitness in the United States. What is universally desirable? Being fit, looking good, being healthy. And what is something that most people don't have? They're not fit. It's not that the information doesn't work. It's that you don't work. It's that you're not willing to put in the work here. So I'll let people know. Yeah, like, should I join Hold My Hand Wholesale? Honestly, probably not. Like statistically, you probably won't show up to the live streams. My team member will probably get a call from you saying, "What's this on my credit card? I don't remember signing up for this." I know you don't remember signing up for this. I know. And statistically, you're probably not going to succeed. So out of the people that are in here, they're doing their first deals. I recognize individuals in here who have started from 0 deals and are now doing upwards of 5 per week like Derek. So if you show up, you will find success, but most of you just won't show up. So it's a hard question for me to answer, Zach. Everybody who's here is going to be successful if they continue to stick with it. I usually give it a 6-month trajectory. I think if you're competent, you're probably going to get your deal in first month or so. I think if you're a little bit incompetent, your IQ is a little bit lower, you're not so good at talking on the phone with people, it'll probably take you closer to 4 or 5 months to get your first deal. Hell, it took me 3.5 months to get my first deal. So I'd say if you show up and you're competent, month 1, first deal, no question about it. I had a 15-year-old do a deal on month 1. 15-year-old do a deal. All he did is he showed up. This guy, Abdul, in the chat right here, just turned 17. He's got a 0% interest seller finance deal under contract. Jeez. So if you show up, it'll happen. It'll happen. But man, I think we got a lot of collaborating to do on the cash side of things, because the whole tail thing that you're mentioning, what it would look like, Zach, is I would open up a buy box for you. So I'd go into Hold My Hand Wholesale. I don't know if my screen shared on what's it called? Is my screen shared on Chrome right now? Can you guys see Buy Box Cartel? Is that working?
I can see it on here.
So right here we have fix and flip buyers, creative buyers, Section 8 buyers, and we would add Zach's Buy Box. and this is your wholesale buy box. It's not necessarily what you're looking to buy your portfolio, although I really do want to talk about your portfolio before we let you go. But this is going to be
Right.
what you can sell. It can have the markets, it can have the criteria. If you put in a deal that doesn't fit your criteria, you will not get an offer, and you will only be sent deals that exactly fit your wholesale criteria. And then you can do as many or as little as you want per month. If that buy box taps out at 30 deals per month, I mean, you'll have it in about a week and a half. Or less than that, honestly. 30 deals per month. We get upwards of 30 deals per day. But that's across the entire thing: cash, creative, Section 8, fix and flip, whatever it may be. But if you put out your buy box, we're going to fill that up as large or as little as you want with deals that only fit your criteria to a T.
I like it, man. That's literally all I could say. Reminds me of SFR3, and
I know
how
exactly.
easy and simple it was. And it's amazing. And FYI, they don't buy anymore. They're terrible. Like, they won't buy anything anymore. And all these weird hedge funds, man. But I like the idea, dude. I like the vision. Like, it's innovative, man. Like, hats off to you, man. I like it.
Yeah,
It seems like people are getting a lot of deals from doing it in here.
It hypes me up. But honestly, you've been with us for so long. I super appreciate it. But I just have to know, you have a portfolio, don't you? You purchase properties. Guys, end goal of wholesaling is to own, not wholesale. And wholesaling can be outsourced. It is a little bit of a rat race, but it can be made passive. But owning properties, guys, it's the only thing that AI can't take from us. Wholesaling could, in theory, be taken by AI, but owning houses, that can't be taken.
Yeah.
What's your buying strategy, Zach?
So my buying strategies, first and foremost, if anybody in here is doing deals, just make one rule to yourself. Try to at least, even if you do subject to, right, buy one house a year. Like, if you're 18 and you do that for 12 years, you own 12 houses, you're fine. One house a year for anybody. Even a subject to deal, you got to put 30 grand in, 40 grand in, one a year. Like that's minimum for anybody. For me, I'm experimenting. So most of my rentals right now, me and Rick, not you, other Rick, buy cash, and we just rent them out. Just in and out, pretty easy and simple. Then from there, we have our subject to deals, which they cash flow way better. They're probably closer to 67% cash on cash, and then at least 100%. My goal for subject twos now, because I'm kind of getting a little more narrow with it, is 100%. And so I don't know what your subject to leeway is, but I don't like to put anything above 40, 50K on them. I like to be at like 10, 15, 20, and the ARV is really high, like 10% of the value of the home at most. And then we'll just cash flow those, own them ourselves. And then from there, my favorite strategy, which I get a lot of pushback from this, for lease options. By far the best, and this isn't even holding, but like lease options, man. By far. Like, you can make 60, 70, 80 grand on a lease option in 5 years in the right market. But like, and nobody talks about it. It used to be an old school strategy. Not one person really talks about it anymore. There used to be one guy on the internet talks about lease options, and then he went into land. And right now, no one talks about them. And so when I pitch them, like, no one really hears about it. And so that, for anyone in your audience, like, you're talking about making 70 grand on a deal, like, do a lease option. And that's just basically, I call it subject to with high equity.
Interesting.
Simple.
That's interesting.
You know lease option, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
No. Do I wholesale any? No. I understand the concept. And I honestly, I should hold my tongue. We should speak about it, because I understand where it is. I think it's an awesome strategy, but you're right. I do think of it as the old school strategy. I think of it as the infomercial strategy, and I know so little about it, so I don't want to speak on something that I don't know very much about. I have so much to learn on that front. I think of myself as master of one or master of none, and there's very few things that I'm good at, and a lot of things that I'm really, really, really bad at. So I would put that into the box of what I don't know, what I'm bad at, what I should ask you about. But
that's why I'm asking you for stuff. You're opening my mind on some things too, so that's what we got to do.
Can I ask how many doors you own? I'm curious how many doors you own.
A good amount. That's what I'm going to say. Zach Ginn makes $40,000 a year IRS. By the way, salary from my company. That's how much I make.
So what he means, guys, is that he pays himself. That's how much he pays his holding company. So I have a bank account.
That's how much I make.
with my holding company, and my holding company has $5,000 in it right now. And we have to, when you get to this stage in your company, you have to pay yourself as an employee of the firm. So that's what he means. I mean, but
Correct.
I think he has to tread lightly. And some of you may get that, some of you may not get
Dude,
that.
I saw you made a TikTok with Chris. Chris owns these. I'm like, okay, that thing freaks me out, man. Everything I own, like if it's a property, it's a trust. And then the scary part is who signs for the trust, because you got to look who records the deed. If you're smart, you have a lawyer sign for it because he's a trustee. Then you're hidden. Because my goal, if I want to go ghost one day, I go ghost. You don't know what real estate I own. You don't own this. And as you'll find out, the more followers you have, if you're in where you live's public, people will come to your house. I figured this out pretty fast. People will just knock on your door. And some pretty angry people. Like I see JD in here in the shout out to JD. He says some pretty choice words for me back in the day. I have an eidetic memory. I remember JD. But basically, you get some angry people coming to your house once you have some followers. So tread lightly. What I'll tell you is, at minimum, what me and Rick own, it's going to be at least 1 to 2 a month, like cash in Florida. That's what I like. That's my thing. Like right now, that's roughly where I'm at. So do the math.
Interesting. Guys, I'll be transparent. I'm not as intelligent as Zach. I out my
once 4 angry people come to your house, you start saying, okay, maybe I should start hiding things. But dude, when you're going to start acquiring more real estate, and you just don't want anyone to really know. And the one thing I have found, and this is creepy, but like people start going after you because when you own real estate, like oh wow, I see this guy owns like 15 houses. Well, let me try to see what I can do. And what I could tell you is, because I learned, I'm trying to figure out if these guys are legit or not. Like when someone goes to my podcast, I'm like, hey, you said you're making 100 grand a month. Show me like 100 grand. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, dang, I don't see your name on the deed. He's like, yeah, I have a lawyer. He's a trustee for mine. He doesn't own it, but he's a trustee. And so when you look at the deed, it's pretty dang cool. One secret too, if you're wholesaling, if you find somebody that wholesales a property, find out the buyer, look up who signs the deed on public record, and you'll find all of the properties they've bought in, and boom, you go from there. But yeah, man, lawyer as a trustee, house is in a trust. Pretty clean.
You want another step to your corporate veil, and I'll tell you why I out my addresses on a everybody knows that we're all.
I'd love to know, man. Because that gives me anxiety.
I'll tell you why, but I'll also tell you another thing that I use for my asset protection here. Grandin Taylor Properties, which is Grandin Taylor LLC, known as Grandin Taylor LLC, is my original company. Grandin Taylor LLC is owned by 2 companies. It's owned by a holding company. Each of those 2 companies are S corporations, and those S corps have controlling interest in trusts. So LLC, S corporations, or actually the LLC is now going to be an S corporation as well. But the LLC has 2 companies that own that company, holding companies. And then those 2 companies have 50% control. Chris's holding company and my company have 50% control in the trust. So it's a trust owned by 2 companies, owned by a company. And our corporate veil is quite thick at this point. But the reason that I out my addresses is because 1, I'm confident in my corporate veil, but I agree with you. And the third reason is I'm not as solidified as you. Zach is unfuckwittable. You don't realize like you're the young godfather of this business. You were the first young guy to start this. You know, you got Jerry Norton, you got Pace. You can't relate to those guys.
No, Jerry.
I know Jerry as well. He's an amazing guy. He's very kind, but it's hard to relate to those people. Zach, when people think about the young person who spread wholesaling and who is relatable, it's you, man. It is you. You've been in the space a lot longer than I have been in the space, which is why I'm reluctant to speak on some things, just because I'm ignorant to them. But my business is doubted on a daily basis. You don't do deals. This is fake. I mean, how many times? Discord, how many times a day do we have somebody come in here and say that this is entirely a scam, like scam alert?
Oh yeah.
Every day, every day, every day, every day, every day. And, I didn't have facial hair until 3 months ago. I thought I'd grow facial hair to make myself look a little bit more credible, a little bit older, because I'm lacking that long-term credibility. It was just a couple years ago that people were duetting me on TikTok saying, this is a scam. So I'm like, I own this house, this house, this house, this house, this house, this house, this house. Fuck you. And that's a part of the reason why I do it. But I agree with the risk. I agree.
Richard, no one can argue that you don't work if you just get everyone a screenshot. Hey, Richard, you showed me to get my first deal. You could probably collect 100 of them, put them on your website. Boom. I've taught these people how to do it. Ask them.
You pay them.
I don't need to put my own stuff there.
We have 900 5-star reviews on Hold My Hand Wholesale, and I must have paid for them, according to my haters. So I use the properties as try me. That's why.
Get a check. And then I tell people, a hater, I'm like, hey, call the title company, ask if that got closed, and ask if that guy learned from me or not. And then you go from there. But another reason I do it the way I'm telling you is, first of all, I own a lot of rentals, and I feel like one day I'm going to be challenged on this. Have you ever looked into how Apple pays taxes?
I have not.
Okay. So Apple is in California, which has 15.6 corporate on top of the 21 we have. So that'd be 36% they'd pay. I'm not 100% correct on this, but I know they pay roughly 10% in taxes, which is like, whoa, how? Well, Apple in California is owned by Apple in Ireland, or the other way around. And Apple in California pays all their profits to the Apple Corporation in Ireland for using the Apple logo. So Apple only pays 10%. And the state of California, these are billions of dollars, they can't do squat about it, because that's how the corporate structure in the IRS is. So if you are in the state of Florida and there is a corporate tax, how do I go to a state that doesn't have a corporate tax? Is there a structure for that where I can save 10%? Sorry, 5-6%? Yeah, there is. So certain way around it. So some people say shell game. I'm not going to call it a shell game, but there's a way where you can get an extra 6% savings and you're good to go. So a lot of people have C corporations in the state of Florida, and they have to pay 6% for wholesaling in Florida, but there's ways you go around it, and you can go even nuts. Half the people go to Puerto Rico just to get that little tax. I think Puerto Rico just had a new one where if you're like under 25, your first 500K is free. I got to look it up. I saw something about that. I just hit the cutoff for it. But
it was my goal to move to Puerto Rico for many years. I realized that that's not what I wanted. But yes, that's a fact.
You just got to, there's certain ways. You just got to get a good tax guy. My way I tell everyone is hire a tax guy that used to work for the IRS. They're very expensive, but they know every game, and just hire them and they'll help you out. People work for the IRS just to say I worked for the IRS.
There's always a way. Jeff Bezos pays $0 in income taxes. As you start to acquire money, you realize that a lot of it's not about making more money. It's about keeping the money that you already have. And there, with the right attorney, with the right tax people, whatever it may be, I speak little of it because Chris runs all the back end stuff. I run marketing. I run the live streams. I do the videos. I acquire the portfolio. Chris runs all that stuff. I know so little about it, but you can. I'm just gonna say you can. That's all we're gonna say here. But there are ways to keep a lot of the money that you make. There really are.
Yeah, legally. You don't want the government on your butt. But I'm not going to give the government a reason to be on my butt. So I make $40,000 a year.
He's a manager at McDonald's, guys. He really is. Trust me. He just is. Guys, I want to know in the chat. How many people would want to see this in a podcast? If we were to drop a video every 2 weeks, something like that, what do we think? How many people would want to see something like that? Chat, show me whether or not. Oh, okay. I think there might be one or two, Zach. I can count 3. How many can you count?
A lot. I like it. I think the most impressive part is how many people are on this Discord. That's crazy to me.
undercharge, overprovide. I sit here for 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and after you leave, I'm gonna continue to sit here. But I'm obsessed with it. I love it, especially the creative financing things. But guys, we just scratched the surface, and honestly, there's
Yeah.
other players we can bring on. You know, Zach and I have been talking about potentially reaching out to a number of other people in the space and seeing if we could collaborate with them. I think there's some real content opportunities. I think there's some real wholesale opportunities as well. And I'd love to explore it further and see what we can do.
Yeah, I like it, man.
Guys, I don't want to use up too much more of his time here. I want to select 5 people to bring up and see if we could briefly, just quick, ask him a question. I want to select 5 individuals. Is that okay, though? Is that okay?
Yeah,
Can we
okay.
have? Okay, cool. Because I think he may have actually stayed longer than he was even committed to, which is huge. Guys, here's how we're gonna do this because I don't think everybody knows how to request to speak. Can we get me put in the chat maybe like 500 times right now? Put me in the chat 500 times, and I'm gonna scroll through it randomly, and we're gonna select somebody. So if you want to come up, put me in the chat. I'm gonna give you about 15 more seconds to put me in the chat. Me. Oh wow. Yes, there are a lot of you. There are. Okay. So we're gonna scroll through. I'm gonna scroll randomly. Select our first person. Give it 5 more seconds, guys. I want to see it explode in the chat. Yep, put those names in. Put those names in. Mini me. Yes, we see you. 3, 2, 1. And I'm gonna select somebody. Stop. Oh, St. James. St. James. Let's bring him up. Guys, let's try to keep it quick. Let's try to keep it quick here. He has been immensely generous with his time already, and we definitely want to give him a major thank you and funnel all of you towards his social media because he deserves that for coming on and speaking
I
to
don't
us
really
for
need
so.
it. We're good.
Yeah, he doesn't need it. He's already too famous. But we'll do it anyways. St. James, take it away, man.
What's going on, guys? Man, I appreciate you guys' time for real. I'm gonna keep it short. I have an off-market property in Central Valley, California. It's coming off a portfolio. He's owned it since the 50s. He just had heart surgery. I got it from the agent. He contacted me. I built a rapport with the guy, so we're good. I'm going on the contract here. She wants cash. I'd like to give you guys the address so you can take a look at it. I'll put it in the chat right now.
Okay. What's it listed for?
He originally wanted 165. I have it right now at 130.
Okay.
ARV is 225.
Sorry, say that again. You cut out. It was 225.
Yeah,
225. So you have it at 130. ARV is 225. What do you think rehab could be?
I'm local to the area, so from the contractors that I know, we could probably do it for about 20 grand to get it up and running.
I don't want to. I want to speak a little bit on this, but really, I want Zach to speak on this because you probably already have an idea of what I'm going to say. It says it's off market. I want
Pensacola.
Oh, sorry, it's Bakersfield, California.
Bakersfield.
Oh.
Central Valley.
So it's off market, correct?
Yeah, it's off market.
Off market 2.1s, estimate 273. You have it at 130.
Yep.
I mean, that
So
sounds
and it's
like
this
250.
it's pretty unique, man. So it's, let me see. If you look at it from an aerial point of view, you can see that it's a total of 4, 2, 1, 3, 1, 1, and actually it's 5, 2, 1, and 3, 1, 1.
So my game plan on this one, man, first and foremost is to comp out after repair value. But you hear from me every single day on this. So I kind of want to hear Zach's answer first.
Well, I mean, I say the same thing to everybody. If this is off market, like just look. it looks like it's too good to be true. And so when it's too good to be true, it's usually a gift, or it's too good to be true and you're getting scammed. Either way, you got to take it. So I would sign the contract and then just see what a buyer can buy it for. Worst case scenario, you get out of it. I know it's not the best advice to say, but like, this seems like a great deal, man. I would lock it up.
It's horrible.
I don't have pictures though.
It's totally distressed. I'm trying to see if I could do you the
Surface level, man. You've got his estimate of 273, and of course, estimate's not always right, but you've got his estimate of 273. I see active listings here for 360, 235. The 235 is a distressed house and 1.4 million. So I can see a reason for this estimate to be true. And if you have this thing at 130 and it's got his estimate of 270, more times than not, it probably is a deal. I'd be a little bit more analytical, but as I pull up the sales history, I see low end we're getting 199 for a 935 square foot 2-1. That is 2022, so I should go past 6 months. But really, I'm not seeing anything too low. It seems like people are definitely renovating houses here. Bakersfield, California is a lower income but somewhat popular market in California. And we've got a lot of buyers there, and I'm sure Zach does as well. However, as a gift for Zach coming on here, I want to give him first dibs on this one. If you want to JV with Zach, man, I think he'd love to send this out to his team and see if he can market it.
That's shit, man. I'd love to. I'd love to do that for sure. I actually need some help on it. Like I said, this portfolio, it's being sold off market right now, and they're giving the seller about 3 weeks before they put it on the MLS.
I'll give Zach first on this. If Zach thinks it's a deal, I want Zach to run with it. I don't need to be a part of it. I super appreciate his time coming on here speaking to us.
Let me just run the numbers real quick on this thing. 13.
Would you mind sharing your screen as you run the numbers? We're super curious.
Yeah. Let me just pop one thing on here.
Hey, Rich, I also have a Section 8 out in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Okay, yeah, we can check out your Section 8 as well. But hey, let's talk about this one real quick, and then he's going to share his screen.
Get on this thing.
We're going to check out his underwriting process here.
Well,
maybe Zach.
I feel like a jerk underwriting like this. So I'm just pop this up real quick and I'll show you. I'll literally tell you what I would do. And I'm not trying to be like a jerk doing this, because I feel like stupid saying that. But literally all I would do is I'd go here. I'd pop in the top flippers. This is just kind of like what you're used to, and just call them up. Like, okay, do you want to buy it? 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 And then I would go to landlords, pop it in, that'll load, and then just like find anything like right here. Boom, 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 boom. And just call them up. That's it. Like that. That's how my team underwrites it. So yeah.
And this is your software, Zach. So I understand. I've seen a lot of people talking about this in the chat.
Yeah, I'm not here to provide. Yes, that's how I underwrite it. The problem, the JVs get so much that we had to like figure a way to do it, and that's kind of the best way to do it. But I'm not trying to talk about it. But that's how I underwrite deals. So I send them out and I see what happens. I throw spaghetti on the wall. That's the best way to say it. But it's better to do that than not do any action.
Jerry Norton, take imperfect action. Jerry Norton would be a little salty about that, but honestly, we can see that it's worked for him. And I think
Shout Jerry.
Yeah, I think they had that. Tell me, man, was that feud a little bit fake? Or was it actually a feud?
I went to Puerto Rico this year, and I tried to meet him. Didn't happen. Sad. I was there. I pulled up. That's all I can say. Dude, there's no feud. I love the guy. He's great.
That's good. Yeah, he's a legend in the space. He's a little bit older than us, but guys, there's definitely a lot to learn from Jerry's page. So Zach, you think you can do something with that deal?
Yeah. I just got blasted out.
Okay. So I
just give it to my dispositions team and they just see what they can do. But
of course, that's what I would do.
I just get a JV signed. See what I can do there.
But I want you to profit off.
It'd be my first deal to make happen, and I've been in here for about 5 months. So
I want him to profit for his time with us here. So I'm not a part of that deal. Send that to him. Shoot it over to his DMs. He'll get it over to his team. You guys will stay in contact, and he'll get that dispoed for you. I'm sure of it.
You guys are amazing, man. Thank you guys for your knowledge and expertise, man. Honest to God.
Thanks for being here, for showing up. Yeah. Thanks for your persistence. Not always easy. All right, next person. And guys, I'll hang around after, okay? So don't think you gotta get me to answer your questions. I know it's Friday. I know we're
Is Bakersfield on your buy box, Cartel?
Everywhere is on buy box Cartel for creative finance. As far as fix and flippers, there's no actual fix and flip. Well, maybe it is. I don't know.
I'm just curious. I have no idea.
I don't know. So if I go to California,
it's on there.
Well, why don't you do it yourself then, man? Like, I'd like to make some money, but if you already have the software, why don't you just do it? If he already has the buyers.
Of course, I'll make myself a $30K check off this. My business, my mind tells me the more you give, the more you get. And I want to work with you in the future, so I want to give you this deal.
Okay, well, if the software's got it, man, just use it.
What are you trying to say?
The reason I want to do is I want him to try to sell it, and if he can't sell it, then bring it to me and I'll get it sold.
Okay.
That's the way I like to look at it.
And I'm happy to help you out. What Zach's trying to say here is, Richard, $30,000 is fucking pennies to me. It's not worth my time.
No, it's worth my time. The problem is, King James, I'm not going to be no pun intended, I'm not going to hold your hand and wholesale it with you. Like it would be like someone on my team, like, okay, well, and then I don't deal with it. So if you're looking for someone to, work with you on there, I'd probably work with him because it won't be me.
Saint, let's run it, man. Submit this to your our cash JV tab right here. But Zach, you're saying that if we were at the park together and I tried to hold your hand, you wouldn't be down for that?
No.
Okay, guys, let's bring somebody else up. Thank you so much, Saint. We'll be in touch soon, man. Okay.
All right, thanks.
Okay, we got a lot of me's in the chat. And stop. Cash flow magnet. He's a magnet for cash flow. Let's bring him up. Hey, man.
Hey, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, how you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I have a hybrid deal. This will be my first deal, but I think I have a deal, and I put everything on the creative offer oven, and I'm looking at a 23% COC. Just want to see what's the next step, basically.
I can answer that question. I'd like to keep you up here, but I want to honor Zach's time. Is there, because I'd love to help you out, but the first thing I'm going to say is, have you called the seller? Have you done outreach to them, and are they interested in the offer?
Yes.
Well, then let's keep you up here. I want to see if we have unique questions because that's a hold my hand wholesale question. You put it into the creative offer oven. He doesn't know what the creative offer oven is. This is hold my hand wholesale stuff. So stay up here. I'm going to help you out with that. Okay. But is there anything you want to ask Zach about our interview today, or anything about his differing strategy? Because we don't have much more time with him here.
Yeah, if he can break down the LAO, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. So LAO is just 70% of MAO. That's pretty much it. So if you offer 30% below what a buyer will pay for, that's what you should offer on the first by far. And my goal is different than agents. This is off market. If everybody in here who does off market just does 20 grand below what they're usually offering, 5% of the time they're going to say yes instantly, and you're going to make more. You never know how much you're going to make. Like when I made 120 grand on a deal, I didn't know unless I made the offer. I could have made 50 on that. So lower offers more money.
Okay.
Somebody says, Zach, are you debt free? I would venture to say Zach is in millions of dollars of debt, just like I am. But it's positive debt as well.
Don't get me started with that, man. The only way that you lose out in the real estate game is if you have leverage. That's it. What did Warren Buffett say? He said the 3 L's: liquor, leverage, and ladies. And if you can, those are the only 3 ways you go broke. And you gotta be very careful. So that's how you do it. If you over leverage, you're done. And I've seen people on the other 2 lose everything in real estate. It's not even a joke. So just think about, hey, how could I become bankrupt? And if you own real estate without any debt, there's no way you're going to.
Guys, I'm in millions of dollars in debt, and it's at 0 to 2% rates. I love it. Excellent. Makes me a lot of money.
Talking about a subject too.
Seller finance too. I'm closing next week on 0% and an Airbnb in the Poconos, which is a vacation area in Pennsylvania.
That's a good area.
Yeah,
Like East Stroudsburg, that's a good wholesaling market.
So I've got I'm about to close on my first Airbnb. I've never done it before, but 0% interest, baby, 0% interest. So yeah, I love going in 0% interest.
I'm not debt free though, by the way. I'm not debt free. The rentals I own are debt free, but a subject like the subject twos I own, there's debt to them. So
In somebody else's name. Yeah. Okay. Cash flow magnet. Anything else he can help you out with?
No, that's it. I actually followed Zach a few years ago, so I've gotten a lot of tips from him from a while back. So appreciate his knowledge.
awesome. Thanks, man.
Okay, three more. We'll go quick. Daniel Lewis. Oh, it's not letting me bring you up. I think he left the stream. If I can't bring somebody up, usually it means they left the stream. All right, with John.
Yeah, you just gotta be careful on Airbnb. Like your number one priority should just being Superhost. Once you get Superhost, dude, it gets so much easier.
Really?
You just gotta get one account to Superhost, and then the also secret is also have it on VRBO at the same time. Sync the calendars because a lot of older people love VRBO, and you can kind of you can do both and get the marketing. You'll find like people will only do VRBO. If you list it on there, you'll find extras too.
I'm doing Airbnb, hot pads, VRBO, and my business strategy on it is to fully renovate the property just for tax reasons and then charge absurdly less than my competition to the point where I'm unprofitable for 2 months, where I'm not making any money for 2 months and just bring in the reviews left and right. Like, how the hell did I get this property for so cheap? Then bring back up to market value.
That's it, man. Get the reviews. You're good to go.
That's what I'm trying. Hey, this is one of our community helpers. He focuses largely on seller financing multifamily. We landed on you. John, how you doing, man? Oh, rip. He just dropped.
Ooh.
Let's bring him back
Dang.
up. Sometimes it glitches him out. John, are you wanted to ask a question? It's okay if not. Oh, there he is.
Sorry, Richard. I didn't had any question. I was just helping one of the helper doing the
Okay.
call for her agent.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, we'll chat later, man. Thanks. Okay, let's find another me. We landed on this guy, Grizzly. Number 3. Hey, Grizzly. How you doing, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing really well.
So this is my first day in here, and I want to ask Zach, what are XPs? I'm seeing a lot of people asking about that.
Yeah, that's just the software on my side. It's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, it's basically alternative to just list pulling. That's pretty much it. And Dispo. If you're brand new, you don't really need it. Like don't pay for software. Usually, if you haven't done any deals yet, or if you have no money, I see people spend the last $100 on a software, and then they like, oh man, I got nothing now. So yeah.
All right, I think that's pretty much it.
Grizzly,
I like
I'll give you a start here thing. Stick around because I'm gonna talk about how to find your first deal on Zillow. After Zach heads out here, so stick around, man. We'll talk about how to find your first deal. These live streams are normally geared towards I'm gonna find a deal, I'm gonna call, I'm gonna close, I'm gonna give it away to a random person in here. So we'll do that a little bit later. Stick around, man. We'll help you find your first deal.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, that's number.
I don't like how you
3.
guys have to use PropStream for your buy box cartel. You got to get to a point where you can basically you can find. I tell people you can find who PropStream gets their data from because they just basically wholesale the data and pull that into buy box cartel, and then you own that data, and no one has to use PropStream anymore on your for your people.
Yeah, I could, but I have another incentive. I'm an affiliate. I'm an affiliate of PropStream. So it's we actually we are barely profitable as wholesalers, and that's something that people don't know. I hardly make anything off of wholesale. I make about 75 a month off of wholesale. I do 260 to 300 a month wholesaling. I make 75. Why? I give all of it back to the community. Our group leaders in here, they keep 70% of the assignment fee on deals that we dispo. After payroll and after everything, sure. I mean, we have a lot of people, and I'll make 75 a month off of wholesaling houses, but we're doing hundreds of thousands. I'm not making very much. What I do get is dibs on really great deals for my portfolio. But my business model largely is we'll show you that we can wholesale. We'll run the operation. I got 22 employees behind the scenes wholesaling our houses, from student outreach to dispositions managers to transaction coordinators. And we do the business and we do it well, but I'm not making a ridiculous amount off of wholesaling unless it's my own deal off of my own acquisitions efforts. And then 9 times out of 10, I'm keeping that myself. So my business model is we're going to wholesale and give you guys all of the money back. I'm going to make my money off of subscriptions, affiliate marketing, wholesale, and then rental properties as well.
I like it.
Yeah. So we're let's bring up another person. Kent, what's up, man? Kent's got some crazy deals right now.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well.
Hey, man.
So, Zach, I have a question for you.
Oh, yeah.
As this community and Richard knows, I have struggled with motivation, and I've almost quit, multiple times. When you started your journey, what kept you motivated? Because some people ask me what keeps me motivated, and I like to tell them, kind of find your why. What's your why to make this successful? Can you elaborate on what drove you to be successful? Because I know in the beginning it probably was a little bit hard, to stay motivated if you keep getting no's. I just wanted you to, give some sort of motivational speech for those that aren't as driven as I've come to be.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of ways. So I was always motivated. If you give a 17-year-old 20 grand, he tends to just keep wanting to do it. And I don't think I've ever really had a struggling year since I was 17. And maybe that's just privilege for me. And I tell people, Rick's my dad. He did well too. I definitely have privilege on that end. But I also have privilege where I'm the only guy who can just teach people for free, roughly. You know what I mean? Back in the day. Motivation, when I talk to an average person, I usually ask them 2 questions. For you, Kent, how old are you?
39.
29? Do you love your mom?
39.
39. Do you love your mom?
39.
39.
My mom is no longer here, unfortunately.
Sorry to hear that. For most people, I ask them, do you love your mom? They're like, of course. I'm like, well, go retire her. And that usually ends the conversation for 80% of people. I think we all love our moms. If you're 39 and you got do you have any kids?
No.
Okay, even easier. Well, you just got to go out here and do you have a job?
And I hate it.
Good. What work?
I've been a welder for 17 years.
Oh, Lord. What more motivation do you need, man? Dude, that is hard. That is hard, man. Right?
Yeah. It's especially it's a real strain on your body as well. It's not for the weak of heart. I'll give you that.
Dude, how are you having a motivation issue? Being a welder, being for my health and my wealth. It's not even just your wealth; it's your health now, and then the mental toll it is.
Well, for me, I get mentally distraught quite easily because I have mental issues. That's a whole nother thing. But anyways,
okay,
I get into these little balls of where, fuck, I don't want to do it, but then I keep telling myself, what's your why? And I think about having to work for someone to make them money and them not appreciate the fact that I do that for them. I just wanted you to kind of give some motivation for other people in this Discord that are in this live right now that might not be as motivated as I've become over the last couple of months. And Rich can attest to that. He, brought me on stage a month ago and I was almost to the point of quitting, and my motivation's changed a lot, but I just wanted you to speak on behalf for those who aren't motivated.
Yeah, Kent, this is easy for you. Have you ever seen the new AI Tesla robots?
Yeah.
In 5 to 10 years, that thing might take your job, and you will have to wholesale. And you are going to be on the streets if they decide that that's what AI is going to do, which is it's a very dangerous job for individuals. They're taking that away. So you have this ticking time clock right now of you're going to be out of a job, and you need to figure it out. Most human beings don't do something until they have to. I guarantee if you got fired from your job and you're not allowed to weld anymore, you would probably figure out wholesaling pretty dang quick. You would buck up pretty quick because it's not of hey, because you have this job, like you have this job in the back end that okay, if it doesn't work, you can do it. You don't have a job anymore 5 to 10 years. So there's this slow bulldozer coming down at you, and you're just staying still, not doing anything. You have to do it. Like you have to. You don't have a choice. And the best way, I don't know the whole methodology here, but I know for a fact, I think Richard could say this. Richard, do you think if Kent made 100 offers on creative finance, 100, and he did your script word for word in his local market, you think he'd get one deal?
Absolutely, but it really depends on the way that it comes across. So we worked with Kent, and he was using a variation of my script, but then there were some things that needed to be tweaked. And I think if he stays with those tweaks, he'll get his first deal. And you know what? He's found one. He's found something crazy,
Three of them actually.
He's found something beautiful since that conversation. So yes, the answer is yes.
There we go. Dude, just
one,
put
it's not
put 100 down. See, but like I tell anyone, like just if that's what your method, just do the little tallies and then don't complain till you get 100. That's it. You'll find at like 40, oh dang, I got a deal. Simple. I tell people cold calls, like make 4,000 cold calls. Guarantee you will not get a deal doing that.
Kent, my sentiment on motivation is you already have it. If you didn't, you wouldn't be here. My marketing is very, very blunt. I like to say, this business, you'll probably fail. You will probably fail. But if you're here, you have the motivation. If you're one of the people right now, 6 p.m. EST, 7 p.m. EST on a Friday night, you're here, you have the motivation already. It exists within you. And I think it's only natural to fear that something that you already have is going to go away. So, you can lead a horse to water. You can't make it drink. I can let people know that one of the legends of the wholesaling community is going to be with us. They're not going to show up. It's not for them. Most people in Hold My Hand Wholesale will fail. Most people who try this business will fail. That's just a fact of the matter. But it's those of you who have that voice in your head that says, get the fuck up. You'll succeed. You will succeed. And I can hear that it's present within you, Ken.
Oh yeah. Ken, have you ever read the Ric Flair story on his plane crash?
No, I have not actually.
Do you like Ric Flair?
Best wrestler ever.
Look up his plane crash. They said he was never ever going to wrestle again after he had a plane crash. A year later, he was in the ring, and every doctor told him he could never do it. The recovery is too brutal. Like one of the most brutal plane crashes. You have Ric Flair in your thing, dude. He was going back to wooing after a year, and they said he was not even going to make. He should have died. What do you think motivated him? Look up that story, man. If you love Ric Flair, he probably has one of the most motivating stories after his little plane crash. Look it up, man.
I'm going to do that.
That thing will get you jacked up, bro. Love Ric Flair.
Yeah, that's all I really had is just, for those that aren't as motivated as I have become, just, to kind of try help them, find ways to get self-motivation. Because I believe that I'm at that point where motivation might not be an issue for me going forward, given my conversation with Rich, about a month ago.
I think it either is or isn't there. I don't think it can be created. My dad asked me to mentor a 15-year-old. He met a 15-year-old who was down in the dumps, and he said, will you mentor him? And I said, yep, Dad, I'm happy to do that. But I just want to let you know, I have had so many friends who have seen me make $100,000 in a month wholesaling houses who are so jacked up about it one night, the moment I'm in front of them. And then the next day, it's like, where'd you go, man? Where'd you go, man? What happened? So if you're here, you're here. If you don't have the motivation, you don't have the motivation. For me, what the motivation sounds like is it's kind of like almost mental illness. You're sitting, you're enjoying yourself, and then the back of your head, like depression comes in. You need to do more. You're not doing enough. You need to get more.
Yep.
You need to acquire more. You need to do this. And it's not like a, oh, you should do this, like a sweet voice. It's my father's voice. And it's not nice. It's not something nice that I hear in my head. And before I had any money whatsoever, it was brutal. It was like bring you to tears brutal. Like you are going to be fucking homeless if you don't figure this shit out. Look at your grades, look at what you're worth. You're worth absolutely nothing, so create value for yourself right fucking now. And it
Grab some water real quick.
away.
It's crazy that you said that because that is exactly me right now. Because I have some money, because I got an inheritance after my mom passed. But when that runs out, it'll be like a paycheck to paycheck thing, and I'm not gonna fucking let myself do that. That's why I'm gonna make this shit work.
You will, and you are. And Kent, your resilience sticking through this, even though there's been ups and downs, it's inspiring. It's inspiring to other people. So you're asking people where they get their motivation from. You are a source of motivation.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well,
I-
hey, we're running out of time for Zach, so we'll bring one more person up. But you were going to say something. I'm sorry.
Oh, Ric Flair, man. Look it up. Cool dude.
Guys, 1,000 me's in the chat right now. 1,000 me's in the chat. We got to figure out that final person. I see 3. I see. We got 270 people in here. That's good numbers for Friday night. You guys, good numbers here. But let's choose one. Let's choose one. There's not too many me's in the chat. We're just selecting out of the people who put me right here. Stop. Got this guy right here. Nico Suave. I like the name. Catch you later, Kent.
What the? Hey guys.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Honestly, I didn't expect to get picked. I'm like really new to wholesaling, all of this, and I've just been trying to go to every single live stream and just learn. But just Jesus, I don't even. Thank you guys for taking the time. One of my questions would be, there's so many different avenues for wholesaling. What do you think is like the best avenue for a beginner?
I mean, there's
We have
different approaches.
We have very different answers, but you'll hear from me a lot in these live streams. I want you to hear from Zach today.
Okay.
Dude, you'll get it from anywhere. Like, I think we both like working out, right? It's like you got the science-based lifter guys, and then you have like the heavy metal, like super crazy. Like, there's different ways to work out, and most of those guys are all jacked. So, like, they're both going to get you there. They're just different approaches. But the problem is when you try to do both at the same time, it usually gets all screwy. So I found if you try on-market, creative, all at the same time as a newbie, because you have, and then you get screwed up. Personally,
Matt,
if you're a beginner, where do you live?
I live in New Mexico.
Like Albuquerque area?
Yes.
Like, if you're a beginner, pull the pre-foreclosure list. This is what I tell people. Just put sticky notes on the door. Hey, this is Zach. Got a quick question about your property. Please give me a call back. Put 200, you'll get a deal doing that. That's what I tell people to do. You can also just call. You can text. I mean, you got anything that I do or whatever he does. I mean, they're all going to work.
A lot of different approaches. I'd say the commonality between all approaches is that they work. I never see a wholesaler on market saying something and I'm like, that shit doesn't work. Fuck you. You're lying. I know it's worked for them at some point. I know it's worked for them. That's a great answer, Zach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a million ways to make money in real estate.
Zach, where can they reach you? Where can they follow you? You don't need it, but we're going to give it to you. Where can everybody reach you? Where can everybody JV with you? If you got your, we need to plug you. And anyway, I tried to give you a deal.
If I could get a plug, the best thing I could tell anybody in here is if you go to my Discord, and because they're all off market, and say, hey, if you need help selling your deal, reach out to me, and then go to buy box and then just do that. That'd probably be like the easiest way to make 10 grand. Just go to people in my community, say, hey, you got a deal locked up? Yeah, I can't sell it though, bro. It's locked up too high. You put it through Richard's software, JV it, and then you guys split 10K. The cool part about that is they're all off market, so you could probably squeeze a little more. That's just me. And I think that'd be the best way everyone can do it.
You got the link for that, man? How can everybody join?
Just search wholesaling on Discord and it'll pop up. like Discovery, and just search wholesaling. There's only 2 Discord servers. If you search wholesaling, you got the clown one and you got us. That's it. Just search wholesaling and then boom. There's only 2 that pop up.
There we go. There we go. All right. All right. Well, if he won't do it, I'll do it. Zach's Instagram is Flip with Zach. It is Flip with Zach. It looks
There we
like
go.
this. I want to see that go up by a large number right now. Let's put the name in there. Flip with Zach.
Cool. Appreciate it.
With Zach in the chat. Go ahead and give him a follow. The Discord link is in his bio. You can find it right there. He's changing lives for free on a daily basis, and yeah, Zach, this has been amazing. Are you looking to collaborate on a podcast? Is that still something you're wanting to do?
Yeah, he sent me some interesting names, man. That dude, it's just hard finding younger people that actually do the business, and it's even harder to find younger people that are actually good at the business or willing to actually talk. Like, I don't say this much, but I'm excommunicated from any big wholesaling podcast, like every single one. So I'm like, well, let's talk to the young guns, and then they can talk to me, and they're not excommunicating me. So we're good to go. I'll tell you this. I give you a shout out. The only reason I'm on here is you don't have this $14,000 program to sell somebody on a credit card, right? They got $20 a month. Dude, I say this a lot. If you're selling these $17,000 programs, I think it's kind of sleazy. Don't do it. Come on. $20 a month, that's all you need. Talk to you. Man, people are charging 15 grand for what you're doing, right? I think that's the old stupid stuff, man.
I talk about that all the time. It feels disgusting, and it comes down to my reasoning of I don't think this business will work for you. I know my information is good. It probably won't work for you. So why are we paying so much for it, right? What's the worst case? You lose $20? Okay, worst case you lose $20. And we give away $26,000 a year to the Discord. So more realistically, you'll make money just from our fucking giveaways in here. So, anyways, guys, follow Zach. Zach, I'll reach out to you, man. I think we got things to chat about in regards to Buy Box Cartel, partnering up there. I'd love to go ahead and do a podcast with you, get that started. I don't think we need a third. I thought about it, and I thought about some of the sentiments behind what the third person's mindset may be. Maybe we need a third, but I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that. I think we'd fucking crush it. I think we'd crush it on the podcast. And yeah, man, thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you so much for spending.
Yo, Richard, can I squeeze in a question really quick? I waited till the end because I didn't want to but I kind of know Zach. Zach, what's up? It's Moises.
How's it going, man?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Doing good. Really quick, when Richard gave you that example on market, and you went and looked at the sold price, and you noticed that it was maybe what was it, 360, and then you added the appreciation. What appreciation did you add there per year?
So I know my market really good, and I know exactly how much it's appreciated. So this is a stretch, but sometimes I like to stretch if I have no comps and I see a comp on the property. Worst case scenario, I know what the market appreciation for that zip code is because I own rentals in that zip code. Roughly 50% right now in the past 5 years. That is just roughly a comp in my head. And that is just, it's a guiding light to where I should be. Just a range. That's it.
What percentage was that? 15?
Yeah, it was about 10% for the past 5 years in that zip code in Florida.
Right. But then did you multiply by 0.70 or 0.80? Because usually you say just multiply times 0.7.
1.5. 1.5 times 2, whatever. That's how we do it.
1.5?
You're overthinking this, man.
All right. I got you. No, I'm just saying because usually you'll take the asking price and you would have just multiplied it times 0.70. And on this one, it was your number came up higher, basically. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little higher, but that's just a comp. But it sold for 5-10 years ago. It was nicer. That's how I came up with it. It's just roughly a range, man. LAO, though.
Yeah,
LAO.
I got you. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
But yeah, it's an interesting idea what you had there. Richard, if you call me, I can tell you my thoughts on it. I have other thoughts on things like that. I know a lot of behind the scenes drama with things. It gets quite interesting.
I I don't want to cause drama. What I was going to say would have caused problems. But yes, I've had some interactions with some of the people that we've considered bringing on, and it seems to be profit first and people second, and that rubs me the wrong way. Let's chat at a later date. Massive thank you to Zach Ginn.
Zach, before you leave,
Ginn.
There we go.
I'm so sorry. I have to say this. It's not for me. It's some guy named JPack in the chat. He asked me to ask you, brother man, can you ask Zach quick that I have a deal sent over to his channel? I had to just ask you. He asked me to ask you, so I don't
Where
know
did he
who-
send it?
I
Did
don't.
somebody on my team reach out?
It's the guy named JPack163. He just
Have him
told me
email-
that.
Have him DM me, and I'll look at it. But like, what do you mean? Like he texted a deal to me, DM me a deal, or did he put it through the right channel?
To your dispo.
Okay. I mean, let me look at it. Most likely got denied, and you got an email.
Okay.
We are living in very similar. I don't think I've ever heard anybody answer the question I answer on a daily basis. You check your email, bro. You check your.
Most people don't look at their email, dude.
Yeah. Very, very similar situation in our set of things with the JVs. Anyways, guys, I'm not going to take up too much of his time. It's late, East Coast. It's late, and this is Friday night. You know, he's got stuff to do. So massive thank you to Zach in the chat. Give him a follow and flip with Zach on Instagram. And hope to catch you soon, man. Keep killing it.
All right.